Oh, sorry. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome back to more of our life, beginnings and always. Yes, we are back again with more. I am sorry if it's been a while since we last really streamed this, but welcome in, everyone. Uh, for those that don't know me, hi, I'm Susan. I am an Arctic fox who lives in a sakura grove, and I'm with my boyfriend.
Hey guys.
I'm gonna turn my game down a bit because it's kind of loud in my ear, so
Okay.
there we go. Hopefully it's not overpowering too much. Okay, think we're good. So, last time we left off, we were in the middle of a story, but the game kept crashing. So hopefully this time we won't be having any problems. But we'll see when we get there. Alright, let's continue. Boop. Let me just save. Just in case. Okay. So we were... In case anybody missed this part of the story, basically... We were having fun at the beach with our friends Terry and Miranda, and then Baxter took us on a bit of a car ride, and now we're out in the middle of the city. So yeah. This thing is still really loud in my ear for some reason, but... Alright. You ready to get started?
Yep.
Alright.
Hopefully I remember the voices.
Yeah, hopefully. I'll remember when I hear him, but we'll see.
Yep.
Not wanting to miss the show, you all race down the waterfront walkway to find a place with a good view. What about here? Cove peered across the rails into the distance and shot her a thumbs up. It was relatively quiet, isolated, and you can see skyscrapers. There was a good sign based on where Terry thought the event was. Yes, this should work just fine. She stopped and tried to catch her breath, her hands on her knees. Miranda leaned against the wall between establishments as she recovered. Cove took a moment to breathe as well, stretching his spine back. He looked up at the sky in wonder and let out a relieved sigh.
Think we've missed anything?
No way.
Not a chance. Nothing's happening, and we can't be so late that we missed everything. Also, you're kind of peeking from my end, sweetie.
What the?
You're...
Oh, hang on.
I hear you on my end, so...
Okay. I lowered my gain to in the middle here.
Okay. Maybe it'll start soon. You felt excited. The spontaneity of the whole thing combined with the amazement of fireworks was a recipe for you to be bursting with anticipation. It couldn't start soon enough. Terry led Miranda to sit down on the oval slabs along the path. Miranda took a seat and began tapping her knees together as she waited. Terry, meanwhile, crouched more than sat. Baxter flashed an unreadable smile at Cove and you, and then he took a spot next to the girls. Cove seemed surprised and looked over to his shoulder to watch him begin to chat with Terry.
I think?
I guess he's trying not to upset us.
But he left to make Cove and you feel more comfortable, wanted to escape potential awkwardness, or if he really just had hit it off with the girls years earlier than anyone's guess.
That's nice.
Something seemed to strike Cove as he tried unsuccessfully to hide a smile.
Most of us are in swimsuits.
Wearing beachwear in the middle of the city, in the dark, while waiting for a fireworks show was clearly the joke of the day for him. Cove snorted once and then looked back up at the sky.
But I'm not sure if this stops that one night you went around town with me and Mom dressed in my pajamas.
You laughed too when you remembered the incident. It had been quite the escapade. Cove shook his head fondly and seemed happy. A flash lit up the sky with a brilliant green. Your eyes flew off the buildings in the distance and silently watched with bated breath. You heard a second boom and a red firework lit up the night. Woohoo! The show's starting! It's so pretty! It came running over to get closer, positively beaming. Terry pressed herself to the waterfront fence, getting as close as physically possible without just going swimming again. Baxter followed a few steps behind. His mouth hung open at the sight for a moment until he caught himself and once again shifted to pleasantly composed. More fireworks went off, shooting out hundreds of tiny sparkling lights. The colors stood out starkly against the dark of night. The biggest ones washed your surroundings with their hue, turning your world blue, then red, and then golden.
Welcome.
Did I deliver, or did I deliver? Miranda's eyes glittered and she slightly bumped Terry with her hip. Good job! Terry stumbled at the friendly nudge, but was pleased with the compliment. She grinned back. Miranda lightly swung her hips the opposite way to give you a bump as well. It was friendly and soft.
Woo!
We did it! We did it! You smiled at her and nodded. You're glad everyone seemed to be having a good time. Cove stared up to the sky with wonder, while Terry squealed in joy after a series of especially grand explosions. Miranda pointed to the one that was shooting up and then gasped when it bloomed and turned to a huge spear of violet light. Baxter smiled in anticipation. It was good to see your friends in high spirits. The rest of the group huddled around the railing to take in the show as closely as possible. Miranda stood close by. Terry's hands gripped the top. Cove laid his arms across it while leaning forward, and Baxter rested his elbows on the rail, putting his back towards the fireworks. You seem to be having more fun watching the others than the actual show. Ooh! She pointed out a golden firework and beamed. Ah, that's so cool! Terry held up a hand for a high five and Miranda obliged her. Terry whooped in and you shot a smile.
What gallery do you think the next one?
This one you gave more of like a suave, smooth voice.
Oh, what gallery do you think the next one will
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Without giving Baxter a glance, Cove answered immediately.
Green.
It was orange. Baxter chuckled but wasn't interested in calling Cove out for being wrong.
Hmm?
be? Is that your favorite color? Green?
That's...
It's one of them.
I think that's nice. It matches.
And is yours black?
That's one of them.
Cove smirked just a little and left the conversation there. He stood next to Cove. Cove looked away from the fireworks and grinned at you. He was glad to be spending time with you, and he tilted his head at a spectacular multicolored firework above.
I think that's been my favorite.
He shot you another look and nodded, wanting you to move up closer. In front of him, you could see the night's lights reflected on the water. It took a moment to watch him and the fireworks reflected in his eyes. Cove grinned like a kid. Cuddled! You pressed yourself against his chest and snuggled into him. He readjusted his position, then wrapped his arms around you, holding you close. He rested his chin on top of your head comfortably. You let yourself relax against him and continued to watch the fireworks above. Cove's gaze drifted from the show of dazzling lights straight at you, and he slightly sighed dreamily. You didn't know when you had last seen him so blissful. The spectacle continued to up the ante by bringing more fireworks out at a time. The colors danced across the sky and reflected over the water. You reached out a hand and watched as it was tinted green while a big boom sounded. Fireworks were a normal summer tradition, but this was admittedly an unconventional approach. Showing up in the city last minute to watch a display from a technically private event? That made this feel special in a way that just planning to go to a public fireworks show never would. Terry's idea may not have left you with a lot of time to prepare, but it sure led to a unique situation. It was clear this was an unforgettable night. As the finale sounded, blazing the sky with unbelievable beauty, you remembered thinking that there might never be a night exactly like this one again. Not for the rest of your life. You planned to hold on to the feelings you had in that moment for as long as you could. Oh. Yay.
Alright. It would be an unforgettable night, but would it be an unforgettable luncheon?
I knew you were gonna go there.
Of course!
So I don't know how long we're gonna be going for this one, guys. But we'll see how I'm feeling and how long our voices hold up. So we're gonna run some errands. Here, I'm gonna... Where are you at? There you are. I'm gonna turn you up just a little bit on my end.
Okay.
There we go. From the moment you woke up, you knew that today was going to be busier than usual. There was a list of errands that needed to be finished before the day was done. First up was visiting one of the biggest farmers markets in the area. It was only open 2 weekends a month during certain parts of the year. It was rare that you and your family were able to attend, so your moms liked to make the most out of every minute of it. And you realized it was not just them feeling that way when you heard a whistle from your left side.
Wow, this is a wow, this is a swanky show. Vegetables have never seemed so highbrow.
Seriously, they sure don't mess around with their products.
Isn't that great?
Isn't it exciting? Liz crossed her arms. You could tell she was amused. We couldn't have picked out a more perfect trip. It's been too long since we had a true family outing. Her teasing tone said more than she actually did. Your next-door neighbors had joined you this day, and that's what made it a true family outing. The three parents laughed approvingly. Out of the corner of your eye, you caught Cove looking at you sympathetically. Some things never changed, and some jokes never died. You'd long accepted that. You thought this trip might be fun. You smiled, trying to imagine how many stalls were set up. You were curious what hidden gems were waiting for you to discover among them.
Well, I'm ready to get started. I've got plenty of dishes in mind I could use ingredients for.
Before your moms responded to that, they glanced at each other and smiled. Yes, that's a very good idea. Very good idea, Cliff. This place is much larger than it seems. It's difficult to visit each pot in a single day.
I got it.
I'm sure we can make a decent dent together at least.
Actually, since there's so many of us this time, we could take different sides of the market.
Sounds good.
Divide and conquer, eh? That sounds brilliant. Everyone watched your mom, surprised. No one had considered that an option, but your mom flashed the group a dazzling smile, continuing with the thought. No, it's a little unfair that there are four Sakura family members and only 2 Holdens here, so I'll go with you boys to even out the odds.
Okay.
That's fine with me. Cliff scratched the back of his neck and slowly met Cove's stare. They both seemed unconvinced, but weren't sure what to say about it. Don't worry, we'll be apart for only a few hours, and then we'll have something to talk about at the end of it. Father and son ultimately nodded. This wasn't an argument they were going to win.
Alright.
Alright. I don't get the point, but I don't mind spending the first part of the trip with Susan and Ma. Ma clapped her hands together at that. Wonderful. All the teams ready to go? Can I be the one who goes with the Holdens instead? You looked from your mom to your Ma, hoping that at least let you get to explore the market with Cove. He perked up at the suggestion, but then you saw your Ma was pouting at your request to leave her group.
Sorry.
Sorry, no canoe this time, kiddo. Seeing that neither parent was budging, you slumped your shoulders. Oh, we won't be split up for too long, right? Ma hooked an arm around you in a little side hug. You grinned.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Susan. Taking the lead, Mom walked over to Cove and Cliff, who were still eyeing her confusedly.
Let's go.
Come on, boys, we're heading out.
Alright, sure.
And then they found a shiny Veneeri. Okay.
Cove looked at you softly and found himself pulled forward, stopping in front of you. His expression flickered for a moment, hesitant.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Cove lightly took one of your hands in his and gave it a small squeeze. He dipped his face forward, wanting to kiss farewell. When instead he stopped midway, his whole body stiff. He jerked his gaze back at your mom, and you realized that she had grabbed the hem of his shirt. She gave it a small tug before letting go.
No.
Time's a wasting, Cove, and I've known you long enough to be aware that you're one to linger. If I don't stop you now, you only drag your feet on parting ways more. The two you can snuggle and make out as much as you want later. We have important shopping to do now.
What is with that face?
Cove gasped at what he felt was a truly obscene thing to say. His face burning red, but that was ignored by him. He spoke with an unimpressed roll of the eyes.
Seriously?
You don't need to literally pull me away from Susan. I'm not that clingy.
Mom snickered with a shake of her head. Cove's eyebrows raised over the reaction. He turned to Ma. She wouldn't meet his eye, and she whistled innocently. Liz smirked ear to ear, and Cove whipped his head towards his dad. Mr. Holden couldn't offer anything more than an apologetic shrug. It was only then it dawned on Cove that everyone did think that he was that needy. Finally, he dared to face you with wide, pleading eyes. There's nothing wrong with being attached. It's nice. And you meant it. You very much enjoyed Cove's company and his affectionate nature, but that wasn't exactly a denial of what he was being accused of. Mom's smile grew. Cove couldn't believe that he was being completely outnumbered. His mouth twisted as he struggled to come up with something to say in his defense.
Yeah, well... So what?
That admission had Liz, your mom's, and his dad bursting into laughter.
Also, I think the audience.
Cove grimaced and walked several steps from the group before stopping. He clearly wanted to move on, so much that he was physically moving away. He smiled softly and waved goodbye. When he noticed Cove's mouth pushed into a bent smile of his own, and he seemed to feel a little bit better.
See you later.
See you in a few hours!
Cover yourselves.
At that, Mom picked a direction and set out into the market with Mr. Holden and Cove following behind her. Grinning, Ma sent them off with a big wave. Liz gave a dandier goodbye wave herself. Despite the change in plans, you were still glad to be there. It wasn't what you imagined, but that didn't matter. There was a whole market to explore and you couldn't wait to find some good stuff. Just in case.
Okay.
When they were gone, Ma cheerily hurried towards you and Liz. She put her hands on her hips. Do you think there'll be any nice ginger around here? We'll have to find out.
What are you talking about? We have a ginger here.
Ah, right. You nodded in agreement, keen to truly keep the trip going. Ma led you both into the busy market. What are you gonna say?
No, I said we have a nice ginger here.
I'm more of a brown here than a ginger, but...
Fair enough.
Some time passed browsing. There was only a few stalls you stopped at, and you had fun chatting and laughing, pointing out various things to Ma and Liz and vice versa. At one point, Ma stopped suddenly. She put a hand on her belly and gave a half-hearted smile. I think I should have used the bathroom before we left home, like the two of you responsibly did. I just need to pee.
Yes.
Yes, Liz. I have to visit the ladies' room now. Should Liz and I go on without you? Ma craned forward as she struggled to pinpoint the direction she needed to go. She gently considered your suggestion. Actually, I might need help finding my way. Can you please come, Lizzie? You and your sister shared a look over that. Why do that of all things?
Hey.
Ma, if anyone should go anywhere on their own, shouldn't it be you? You're the one needing a detour, and you're the parent here. Ma giggled, unfazed by the resistance. Liz, meanwhile, tipped the brow of her hat up, watching Ma skeptically. Soon enough, Susan will have to handle doing these kind of errands on her own. This makes good practice. What? Ma hooked an arm around Liz and pulled her along.
Have fun.
Have fun. We'll find each other again later. Excuse me? Bye. That's all he could mutter as Ma and Liz waded into the crowd. They were out of sight within moments, and what started as a group outing rapidly became you, entirely on your own. It was good to be on your own. Ma thoroughly surprised you with this, but it was freeing. This was as good a time as any to do things at your own pace. Text Cove. At that point, you had no intent in your and your mom's plan. If they were going to stick around to follow through, you were going to do what you actually wanted. Taking out your phone, you quickly pulled your chat with Cove and sent, "Want to shop together, or could I join your group?" Ma and Liz went off themselves and left me. It wasn't long at all before he got a response back. Cove responded in rapid-fire messages.
What? Wait, hey. Where are you?
You took a survey of your surroundings and sent him a description of where you were and the path you took to get there. While you waited for his response, you watched all the people moving around and past you. There wasn't a single familiar face. When your phone received a new text, you breathed a sigh of relief.
Okay, I'm on my way.
Great, thanks. Cove couldn't get there fast enough. There wasn't any reason that you could think of why you had to wander around the market alone. When you were certain Cove wasn't sending any more messages for now, you went to put your phone away. The familiar keychain caught your eye, bringing a warm smile to your lips. It was still so easy to remember those early days of your relationship with Cove. His pink cast, his big sad eyes, his frustration with his parents. But through it all, he was there. Since you met him, Cove had always been there. You had grown to really appreciate what it meant. You placed your phone back on where it belonged and checked around for a nearby stall to kill time at. One pulled your focus. Fudge!
Oh god.
Yummy! While most stalls were selling various garden-grown foods, this one had an array of homemade fudge. There was even vegan versions of every option. You got closer. You sidestepped back past a few other people and got yourself right in front of the counter for a better look. There was a widespread, dozens and dozens of delicately cut squares of decadence. The owner smiled and approached you to explain their shop.
Does this one have a gender voice?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, Darkrai time.
A fudge is sold in boxes of 4 pieces. Either can be all the same, all different, or any mix you'd like. Are you looking to buy any today?
You want to get yourself a box. Your mind was already filling with the thoughts of sinking your teeth into the delicious fudge. There was no walking away empty-handed now. Let's get a box to share with everyone. The whole selection was too good not to share. And you want to get a box for Cove. When you had the treats made you think of Cove, you grinned hoping he'd like what you picked out. And that was all.
Yeah, so I could use some fudge.
Alright, I'm glad you came to the right place then.
For yourself, you picked.
Oh, that was a lot of options.
This all looks good. I'll take a milk chocolate and a cookies and cream, chocolate peanut butter, and another cookies and cream. For the group, we'll go with let's be creative for the group. Let's give them a red velvet, maple walnut, chocolate toffee, and caramel. And for Cove, which one would you like, sweetie? Since you're technically Cove.
Well, why not get him stuff, or why not pick flavors that are closer to like his favorite colors?
Maybe. I mean, he does like green, so we'll get him. Let's see. We'll get him a key lime. Would you like mint though?
Maybe? I think there was... No, wait, no. I'm trying to remember what it was that the ice cream thing that he liked, or that he had. Or was it automatically chosen? I can't remember.
I can't remember. Let's see what else to get him. Let's get him...
I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I just didn't know what you wanted, like, what you yourself wanted, just try.
Oh, I can... No, I'm all good with your choices. Besides, if I'm picky about anything, I can do it on my playthrough.
Okay. Get him a normal fudge. Share cookies and cream, and... a chocolate peanut butter. The shop owner carefully put your order together. You're already looking forward to when you'd eat your fine selection of fudge. You couldn't help but try to imagine how Cove might react when you presented this to him. Everyone else was definitely going to be happy when you regrouped later. You paid and there was no stopping the large grin going all across your face. Pivoting on your heels, you wove your way back to where you were initially. You kept yourself on alert, trying to spot Cove among the crowd. For the next several minutes, you stood there on high alert, trying to spot Cove among the crowd. You broke into a smile when you saw his familiar seafoam hair sticking out above the masses. He hadn't noticed you yet, but Cole was walking with purpose in your direction. You noticed he was hefting a couple bags in his hands.
Cove, over here!
He instantly stopped dead in his tracks. Alert, Cole's head snapped up and his eyes searched the crowd until they landed on you. His whole demeanor brightened at the sight.
Susan.
Hey, oh, never mind.
From a distance, you could tell his mood shifted again. He seemed serious. He weaved through passerby awkwardly in an attempt to get through as fast as reasonably possible, nearly stumbling more than once. It only took a moment for him to arrive.
Are you okay?
Stop
Yeah,
stealing my lines.
yeah. What did my mom think about you coming?
I have no idea. Yours weren't the only ones to just leave. Your mom took my dad before you even met.
You're kidding.
I wish.
I can't believe this happened to the both of us.
No, they planned it. They.
Oops, sorry.
What the? Who used King Crimson? Anyway, they planned it. They had to. But I don't know why. Are they pranking us?
I don't know either.
And he meant it. You couldn't fathom what your moms were up to. Cove shook his head, trying to clear his mind.
So...
Well,
His change in tone caught your attention. You watched his eyes start to twinkle with mischief as his mouth pulled into a cheeky smile.
you know, it is technically later and your mom isn't around this time.
You chuckled, knowing exactly what he was implying. An incident was already replaying in your head. Yep, hold on.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like to be safe.
Yep.
Smooch! You stepped in closer, placing a hand on his upper arm. Cove beamed and leaned in. It was quick. Too quick. But you could feel him smile through it. When you both did part, Cove chuckled affectionately.
I'm glad it's later.
Me too.
So,
His gaze wandered off as if one of your parents might simply appear if he kept checking, and you could tell he was still progressing the situation. He scratched the back of his head, looking sheepish.
do you still want to go shopping with me?
Definitely.
Cove Dean and you were ecstatic at the thought of spending the rest of the trip with him. It was finally time to take some control back over your day. Cove's grin twisted into a conspiratorial one. You both knew that you were going against whatever had really been planned for this outing, but luckily, neither of you cared one bit at this point.
So, actually, first, watch as the plot twist is like, the parents come in and it's like, surprise! It was our plan to have you both hook up for this adventure. Darn it! So it's like, we fooled you. Sorry. So, where to first? I don't mind going back the way I came if it's new to you. It's not hard to miss stuff, even if I've gone past it.
What have you gotten?
Cove shuffled his bags around and started pulling them open so you could peek inside each one. You recognized the array of things he picked up around the market.
I mostly got typical things I can use pretty easily. Nothing super exciting. And, well, I picked up a few things I figured you might want to have.
There were a few onions, some lemons, and potatoes, among other things that were wrapped up so you couldn't discern what they were.
You chose perfectly. Thank you.
What Cove bought made sense, but it was far from a complete selection. You glanced around the nearby stalls.
Wanna start over there?
Cove followed your eyes as you pointed out one of the larger stalls. It was filled with several kinds of staple fruits and vegetables.
Come on.
Yeah, let's go.
Once a few people finished paying and moved, you and Cove got yourselves directly in front of the shop. There were so many things to pick from.
Oh.
Lots of stuff. Okay. I want apples, oranges, peaches, potatoes for fries. That's all. The shop owner put your selection together and handed it all to you in a single bag. Happily, you paid and waited for Cove to make his purchase.
Ready to go?
Cove grinned, satisfied with his new choices. He added another bag to his small but growing collection. You nodded.
Actually, before we got it and everything, I was wondering if you'd want to hold hands while we're shopping.
Um,
Why is there an option for no? What the hell? Okay.
Shyly, you lifted your hand out for him to take. At that, Cove smiled, and it reached his eyes. He gently accepted the gesture and laced his fingers within yours. Cove squeezed your hand back with renewed eagerness. Your boyfriend nodded his head in the direction you had been going towards.
All right.
Okay, now let's go.
Together, you and Cove wandered the market on the lookout for any stalls that caught your attention. Cove was walking around with a spring in his step, talking about the various meals ideas he had in mind. After a while, you had to go to greater distances to find something of interest. Several of the stalls were selling the same goods. It was only a matter now of which you wanted to buy from. You continued ambling down the path until Cove stopped suddenly, literally pulling you away from your thoughts.
Cove?
You followed his eye line past the crowds. Immediately, you knew what had grabbed him: homemade jams and local honey. The stall was glittering with quaint glass jars stacked high, each encasing gels of various colors. Cove's eyes were practically sparkling at the sight. His feet automatically began to take him there, like without being fully aware he had made an unexplained detour. When you got closer, you were surprised that there were even more varieties than you thought. There were even honeys based on what type of pollen the bees used. Cove's focus seemed torn between a bottle of blackberry jam and one of clover honey.
Do you want some honey? Honey?
Yeah,
I had to. Come on. Come on. It was
not gonna lie, I probably would have done that too.
So, I am
Dumbfounded, Cove nodded in response. His face was burning red. He grinned, way too pleased with your own joke. You thought things over for yourself, too.
Ooh, rhubarb. I didn't even know that was an option. Neat. Have you had any of these before? Or...
I've had strawberry jam before. I don't think I've had any of these other jams, other than these, honestly. I'll just get a thing of strawberry jam.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just take a thing of strawberry jam. You paid and the shop owner started putting together your order. They carefully placed it in a single bag with paper.
Thank you very much.
Amused, you watched Cove give in and just buy both the clover honey and the blackberry jam. He also went all in getting spring wildflower honey and plum jam too. The shop owner thoughtfully wrapped each in a brown bag to protect them before putting them away in a bag. He handed the purchase to Cove.
Thank you.
Oh.
You both stepped away from the stall. Cove didn't fail to notice the look you'd been giving him since he agonized over his toast toppers.
Hey, this doesn't go bad for a long time, so not stock up. I could have chosen one if I wanted to.
Alright, Cove. It'll be nice to enjoy snacking on it for a while.
Boop.
Oh, yeah.
I like to be sorry. Sorry if I keep saving, guys. Just in case the game decides to glitch. As you began to stroll, Cole looked up at the sky. He smiled. It was sort of unexpected, considering all this was technically in air, and unexpected changes often upset him. But he was happy, and Cole liked doing this kind of normal thing. And you could tell that Cole especially enjoyed doing these kinds of things with you. He blushed, thinking how comfortable doing this with Cole felt. It felt more normal or mundane. It felt right.
I'm glad you're having a good time.
Cove chuckled. His gaze fell to his bags, and he was clearly thinking about all the treats he had just bought.
So?
Are you having fun too?
Yeah, I really am. It's been a good day.
Later, when you spotted a less crowded area, you took a break from browsing. Cole started rummaging through one of his bags to check on how his goods were doing. A smile grew on his face as he went on to the next. You chuckled, knowing that Cove wouldn't let anything go to waste. There wasn't a single doubt. He was going to eat it all. You held a hand in front of your face as you squinted upwards. The sun had moved quite a bit, but you'd been in the market for a good while now. Neither your feet nor your arms were sore right now, and Cove looked to be doing fine too, but that was something that could be coming. There was a price to pay for this much shopping, and it wasn't always just in money.
can you give me a piggyback ride?
Sure.
Yeah, for you, I can do that.
Thank you.
Cove crouched down slow so you could climb on. You pressed yourself against his back and comfortably wrapped your arms around his neck. Once you were in position, he stood. Your head slightly rose high above the crowds. It was lifting your spirits pretty literally. Cove huffed, letting out a breathy laugh.
Are you okay?
Yeah, just realized this means I'm the one carrying all the bags too. Just
Should I get down?
no, I've got it.
Cove took a few steps and then stopped. He grinned, pleased with himself.
Ready to get going?
Mm-hmm.
Keep an eye out for any good deals while you're up there. You got the best view around.
Laughing, you craned your head up to get as high as you could, keeping your hold on him secure. Cove was right. You had a whole new perspective.
I'm on it.
And with that, you and Cove continued your trip throughout the market together. Ma and Mom had both texted you during the trip, though to only say that they hoped you found some good stuff and that they'd see you later. There was no answers on where they were or why. You and Cove continued to wind down your way through the bustling market, the list of outstanding items steadily shrinking while bags grew heavier. As you had an unrivaled view of the market thanks to Cove's height, locating the produce your heart's desire had been easy. Carrying every single thing purchased as well as another person made it hard for Cove to check his own phone, so he made do without. Eventually, though, he said he'd ought to check if anything important had come through. So your ride came to a stop out of the flow of foot traffic, and you dismounted his back. Cove rearranged all the bags he was carrying, freeing a hand so that he could pull out his phone. He watched his eyes dart over the screen as he read the waiting messages.
Not important. I can reply to that later.
He mumbled his verdict under his breath. Then Cove's face scrunched up with confusion.
Huh?
Wait, I've got a message from my dad. Listen to this. Cove, I wasn't part of the plan. I didn't know what was going on when I left with Susan's mom. Where are you? He sent that ages ago. I didn't hear it come in. He sent another one since then. Says he hopes I'm alright and that he's not bothering me. The newest one says everybody's going to the parking lot soon and we can meet up there.
He lowered his phone, eyes narrowed. The same conclusion that was settling on you had landed on Cove as well.
So it was on.
He lifted the phone again, staring hard at the screen.
Didn't my mom pull this stunt when we were little? You know, that time she took us to the mall.
Well, at least your mom said she was leaving.
Yeah, sure.
The crowd of people passing.
No,
Oh.
it's just awkward phrasing because, you know, divorce parents.
The crowd of people passing by stayed as noisy as ever, a sharp contrast to the silence that had fallen over you and Cove. He was rubbing the screen of his phone against his shirt, wiping away dust and debris. He continued scrubbing the screen long after anything could have remained, the action a poor substitute pushing away the awkwardness of the moment. I mean, he didn't care. It hadn't changed what you'd done today, only who you'd done it with.
It can be really weird, huh?
Are you okay?
His voice was gentle.
Yeah, really.
That's good. Abandoning us without a warning wasn't really a good idea. Even if they meant well, which they probably did.
He looked at you straight in the eyes.
Not making a big deal out of this is nice. I'm not exactly thrilled, right? So if you don't want to complain to me, you can.
I can't.
Well, even if you don't feel bad about it, or you don't want to talk to your mom, I just want you to know that you can still always talk to me about it. And there's no time limit on that off.
You're kind of glitching out a little bit.
Oh my god. Okay. Hang on. I'm gonna raise my, or lower my sensitivity then. It's getting ridiculous.
Cove closed his eyes and took a deep breath. His brow creased and burrowed deeper into his skull, his arms tightly coiling together.
So they did do something stupid. I knew it.
His voice had taken on an exaggerated quality, but what truly distinguished it from Cove's typical speaking tone was the abundance of rage.
Oh, this is such a chore. Parents are so dumb. Why do people have to go to places with family members anyways? I hate them, and I also hate farmers markets.
You got it instantly. It had been years since the boy with the bowl cut had been in town for the summer, but Cove had never forgotten. To this day, he continued to unleash his impersonation whenever the moment felt right. Sometimes you wonder if the act had grown more exaggerated over the years, or if the kid really was always that ridiculous.
Probably.
He quietly sighed. He was only trying to cheer you up, but you weren't in the mood. Cove gave you a lopsided smile, letting the joke rest for now.
Come on, we should probably go meet up with the group.
Yeah.
You didn't dally any longer, slipping back into the crowd and making your way towards the entrance of the farmer's market. It didn't take long to reach the parking lot. Your parents, Mr. Holden and Liz, were already waiting there, and they waved at you both as you approached. Hold on.
Whoa, sorry about that, audience. I think Yoshikage Kira used, whatever that name is. Seriously, why am I doing this? I don't know. Anyways. It was bites to dust. Just real. Anyways, the joke fell flat.
Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Okay, we already read this, so. Your own family seemed to be in pretty good moods. In contrast to Mr. Holden, he stared at Cove with open concern as you got closer.
Hey. Hey, bud. Hey, Susan. How you doing? We'd be doing better if we hadn't been abandoned at a farmer's market by our families.
You saw your mom frowning at his response, Ma glancing from Cove to Mom with blinking eyes.
Just because Susan's really laid back doesn't mean you can just leave her out of your plans and expect her to go with it every time.
Ma hung her head ashamed, and Mom had a hand pressed to her cheek. You could tell that they were quickly regretting their scheme.
I am so sorry.
I'm so sorry, Susan.
Her words were full of emotion. Mom squeezed Ma's arm.
You were trying to make the errand more of a trip, less of a chore.
Ma nodded.
We didn't think you, Cove, and Liz wanted to be stuck trudging around the market with your parents all day. Especially not in the summer. But you're always very thoughtful and don't like to leave your moms behind, so we did it ourselves. It was only going to be for the market, not the other stops, I presume. Still, you're right, we could have just told you and let you make your own call. I am really sorry, neither of us meant to upset you.
I'm really sorry.
All gas, no brakes, and we should have known better. Sorry.
Yeah, Ma ditched me too, after pulling her urgent potty break stung, if that helps. I went off to do my own shopping, and... shopping, as it seems they planned.
Sorry.
Sorry I didn't check back with you. I wasn't thinking and just trying to blow it off.
You quietly took in their stories of what happened. Over to the side, Cove was talking to his dad.
Thanks for telling me something was up, though I feel bad for missing the warning when you sent it.
You're welcome. No trouble, sport. I learned my lesson about making surprise plans.
Cove smiled at his dad. Mr. Holden laughed, clapped Cove on the back.
Not bad.
Wow, we are really being outplayed today.
You realized you hadn't been the only outlookers onto the Holden's moment. Your moms were exchanging rueful looks. Liz had her arms crossed over her chest, patiently watching it all unfold. Yes, looks like it. We better find some way to catch up.
In that case,
Maybe we can do Susan's chores for the next week. Ma jabbed Ma on the shoulder. You might be onto something. Susan, how do you like the sound of that? They looked at you hopefully. Sounds good to me. Good. We're serious. And at the very least, we can make sure everyone stays together for the rest of the stops we're making today. You all nodded at the suggestion.
yes.
We won't let you down. We'll be the best sheepdogs ever, guarding the flock and catching any strays.
Funny.
We could at least be shepherds. You chuckled at your mood lifting in spite of the bumpy morning. It was going to be all right. You turned to the entrance for the farmer's market for one final glance, pressing it into your memory under this new light. You thought on what you picked up at the market and how you were going to enjoy it later. Some things could only get from local suppliers like this. That was another perk about coming along to the market today. Actually, you realized this would be a good time to bring out the fudge you got to share while everyone was clustered together. Hey, wait! Before I go, I got something for everybody! You announced and grabbed everyone's interest, and they looked over at you, each curious about what you had in store. You dug your hand into the bag and pulled out the specially selected treat. I saw this amazing fudge doll, so I got a box for us to share. Ooh!
Oh,
Oh, it's so sweet of you. The Holdens were wearing matching grins and at the prospect of free dessert. Their family resemblance more noticeable as they mirrored each other's expressions.
Sweet is the right word for this. Thanks very much, Susan.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
you're fantastic.
Great! I can't wait to bust it open. Oh, we
Oh,
should
that
save
was
it for
good.
tonight. You can't properly enjoy a treat when there's still chores to be done. Besides, you don't want to make a mess with it melting in this heat. The others murmured their agreements and nodded, reaching a consensus. You stowed the box away safely for now. Covenant saddled up next to you, an eager smile on his face. You could tell from his expression that he was up to something.
Thanks again for getting fudge. It was really cool of you.
You knew he hadn't come over to thank you individually, not with that huge smirk.
I
got something to share too. Oh, well, only really with... Sorry, I got a text there. But, well, only really with you. I guess I'm not as nice. Oh well.
You hooked up a scheme of your own? He laughed.
Anyway, well, I sort of picked something out with you in mind.
You held a hand to your chest, staring at Cole as he explained further.
I mean,
Since your mom's decided we should shop separately, I figured I could use the time to get you something. Just as a little surprise.
He reached into one of his bags and retrieved one of the wrapped up objects. You accepted the unexpected present and looked he looked on excitedly as you tore off the paper. It was a glass bottle of cool spring water. You didn't need to taste it to know that it would be nice. It was a boutique product. It was heavy in your hands. The container and the smart metal cap reaffirming the quality. Even the label, constructed from coarse paper, felt coarse paper rather than a flimsy sheet of plastic, was distinctive. You're practically bouncing in anticipation, and he smiled sweetly at your reaction.
It's not a big deal, but I just thought you might like it.
Thank you. You weren't the only one who had the idea.
Huh?
His eyes began to widen. I got something for you too when you weren't around. There was a burst of laughter, first from your mom, followed by a chorus of chuckles from the other three. You forgot they were still hanging around. Unfortunately, they hadn't paid you and Kobe the same courtesy and had been listening in on your conversation. You weren't even apart for a whole day! And you both still use this as a chance to get each other little gifts. Ma clasped her hands together, eyes bright.
Good job.
That's so lovely. A day? It was less than a whole morning.
Right?
True. I don't even want to think about what happens when you spend real time apart.
That's my boy. Anyways, that's my boy.
You reach back into the bag where you had first retrieved the box of fudge for everyone, shuffling it aside to take out another one underneath. You chuckle coolly, aware the others were still watching you.
Well, the first one was for everybody, but that's not all I got. I bought a second bunch of fudge that's just for you.
Cole's face lit up, his grin stretching from ear to ear. The laughter that came from the others, who were fully turned into your little show, didn't appear to reach him.
Seriously?
Really? It's only for me?
Cole took the box of fudge in one hand and claimed one of your hands with his other. He used the hold he had to lead you closer to him while he lifted the hand to his mouth and peppered kisses over your knuckles.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
He looked at you with shining eyes. At this rate, it wouldn't just be your little group that knew you'd been treating him. The whole parking lot was going to learn about it. Behind you, you could see Mom watching you both with a smile of hilarity.
See? This is why he's so attached! You spoiled him!
You shouldn't make fun, Pam. It's clearly mutual.
Besides, I don't hear you complaining when I'm spoiling you.
Ma pinched Mom's cheek, making her laugh as she batted the hand away.
True.
True. Liz slapped her hands together with the air of a teacher calling for her attention.
Well, since the other adults aren't acting like grown-ups, the rest of us are going to have to pick up the slack. It's time to get back on schedule and continue with the rest of the errands. Playtime is officially over!
Ma laughed while Mr. Holding grinned awkwardly. Mom hung her head in an exaggerated display of mock defeat. Sorry if I keep doing this.
Oh, kids are tough, and I can't even call them kids anymore.
Liz tut-tutted with amusement at her mother. Cove shrugged, staying a neutral observer, but the small smile on his face revealed that he was enjoying the conclusion. You laughed, glad that everyone was getting along.
That's right, we're all grown-ups now.
With that, your trip to the farmer's market was closed. It was time to move on. There were too many of you for one car, so you and Cove just wound up in Mr. Holden's car on the way over. You figured it makes sense to do the same thing for the next leg of the journey. You sat next to Cove in the back. Immediately after clicking on the seatbelt in his lock, it announced that Cove was safely strapped in. He began to unfold the box of fudge he'd been given.
You're gonna eat now?
Yep.
He nodded eagerly, not taking his eyes from the container. He lifted the top off and longingly admired the selection inside.
Well, chocolate fudge is a staple. You can never go wrong with that. Is the green fudge lime?
Yeah, key lime.
That's amazing, because it's fudge, but also fruity somehow. That looks like cookies and cream. That's a really cool flavor of fudge. That's peanut butter in there, right?
Mm-hmm, it's chocolate with peanut butter mixed.
Ooh, that's so good.
Once Cove finished bestowing praise on what you picked, he promptly started sampling the selection. He was smiling, licking his lips, and having a grand old time. You could also tell from the way he was nibbling. His nibbling turned into munching that the box wasn't going to survive the trip to the next stop. You were right. Cove had tried to savor the treats, claiming just one more until there was only one left. As same was finally forced to be true, he finished the last one too. He sighed contentedly.
Thank you.
Oh, good. Thanks again. Those really were great.
You're welcome.
He set the picked clean box to the side, then rested his hands on his spoiled tummy. Cove wasn't going to be hungry for a while after that. From there, he sat wordlessly, gaze drifting to the window. He knew Cove well enough to spot the signs of when he was physically present but mentally elsewhere. The way he would fall quiet, staring without seeing, the long blinks, all which he was doing right now as he looked at nothing in particular. He licked his fingers absent-mindedly, getting the last of the melted fudge off his hands.
Is it too late to ask for a taste?
Cole straightened up at the sound of your voice, his pose stiff. He turned away, his hands smacking over his mouth instead.
You were miles away for a second. What were you thinking about?
Well, I was just thinking about how nice you are.
How nice I am?
Yeah.
His face grew redder as his hands clenched around the top of his knees. He stared at him, hoping for an explanation, but Cove simply ducked his head. When he next spoke, his voice was barely more than a whisper.
Lucky I get to be with.
Aww. That's so sweet. He peeked at you from the corner of his eyes, still too shy to look at you directly. He smiled at him affectionately, eliciting an equally caring smile from Cove in return. You feel content, secure in your relationship with Cove. Let's enjoy my drink. You twisted off the cap and brought it to your mouth. Even before the first sip reached your lips, the scent tickled your nostrils. You took a swig. It was refreshing, the perfect way to hit the spot after a long morning trolling through the market. This is great. Thanks, Cove. He grinned at you, pleased that his pick had been well received.
You're welcome.
He spent the rest of the day completing the remaining errands all together as a group. He had enjoyed it. It might not have come about under ideal circumstances, but it had provided you with an opportunity to spend time making your own choices. You felt that you'd risen to the challenge. Yay!
And to sum up errands, I could just sum it up with this. God damn it. Ugh. Trying to get this stupid clip. Here we go. Emotional damage. Alright, that should be enough of that clip.
Just gonna check my stuff real quick.
Yep.
Oof. Okay, thing doesn't like Chrome. Oof. And there goes my Chrome. Rip. Oof. Up. Uh-oh. Are you still there? One sec, guys, I'm having an error. Ugh. Hold on, guys, I gotta reconnect my Discord. Oh no. Sorry guys, give me a second. I tried to open my Chrome, but my Discord closed. Hang on. There we go. Now let me see if I can reopen it. Hello?
Yep.
Sorry about that. I was trying to get into my Chrome, but it crashed my entire stuff.
Oh jeez.
My stream's still going, thankfully, but it just crashed my Chrome. But now I can't see you. Dang it. Yeah, it resetted your thing.
Okay.
Nope,
Let me
there we
try
go.
rejoining.
No, it's back.
Okay.
Here, let me just get on my Twitch to my chat, so
Okay.
can this please? There we go. Okay, now I should be good. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, throughout the whole thing, my frames didn't drop, which is weird, but I guess the thing just does not like my Chrome going when I have other things. Which is weird,
Yeah.
but anyways. Going for about an hour. How are you feeling?
You've been doing most of the chatting, so like, my concern is, are you doing okay?
I'm fine.
Okay. All right.
Has there been any activity in the chat, though, or...
No, it's the only thing is just the Sari bot.
Okay. Well, let's just move on to the next one, then.
Okay.
Another placid summer day was drifting by. Your damesees were chasing each other, not sticking around long enough for it to become a firm plan, but you really didn't mind that right now. A tapping worked its way into those dreams. Focusing more, you realized it was coming from your window. A grin popped into your face as though it had been waiting all day for this moment. Hanging to the window, you could see Cove outside. His habit of climbing this way was really a true Covism. He'd rather scale your house than wait a couple extra minutes for you to come down.
Hey, Shuichi, when are we going to tell Susan that she's not screen sharing? I
Oh,
don't know,
whoops.
man.
Oops, sorry.
The paint gods lied to me again.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I told
It's
you
all
my
good.
thing crashed. There we go. Sorry. You held a hand out to him. You offered Cove the hand to help him. Once he was mostly inside, he took it to help steady the last bit of his entrance. Oh, considering how many times he had done this, he hardly needed the help.
Hey.
Hey, Susan, look, I'm Spider-Man.
Hey to you. You think my mom should invest in some bigger windows? Cove laughed at that and took one last look at his exclusive entrance. He yawned with a teasing look on his face.
It'd make my life easier, that's for sure.
Cove's voice came out quietly with a strangely pleased smile on his face. Did something happen? Cove opened his mouth to answer, only to have your phone ring cut him off. You both turned to where it rested a little further up your bed. It was still face down, so you couldn't tell who was calling.
It's okay.
Your attention shot back to Cove. He smiled at you awkwardly.
Don't worry about it.
Go check. It'd be important. I'll wait.
Thanks. You shuffled forward and scooped up the little noisemaker in your hand. You flipped over and checked the caller ID. Oh, it's Miranda.
Oh, you should answer it. I want to say hi too.
With a nod, you accepted the call and let it set to speaker. Hi, Miranda. Hi. There was something off about her tone. Cove met your gaze, and you saw the same confusion in his expression.
Have you heard from Terry?
Have you heard from Terry at all? Or did you not hear about her from Cove? No, she hasn't called me, but Cove is with me right now.
Hey,
Oh, hi, Cove. Is that what you were going to say? He shook his head no before realizing that wasn't a good enough answer with which one person couldn't actually see it.
No.
no, Terry hasn't called me today either. Is something wrong?
At that, Miranda couldn't hold herself together any longer. The muffled sobs from the other side of the line were unmistakable. Terry doesn't like me anymore, if she ever did. What?
That doesn't sound right. You're probably her best friend out of all of us.
Yeah, why do you think that? She sniffled, and there was a pause as you can hear her shift the phone to her other hand. Terry was here the other night watching movies with me. We were up super late. She realized her parents probably went to bed, so they couldn't pick her up. My mom and dad were definitely asleep then. Dad works early. I tried telling her it was okay to just spend the night and she could text her parents what happened, but Terry didn't really want to. You glanced over at Cove. He looked equally unsure about where this story was going. It didn't sound like a friendship ending situation. I suggested to make things easier, like if she were nervous, like she could sleep by herself in my room while I stayed somewhere else. Yeah. And I said we didn't have to sleep at all. We could have kept watching movies until one of our parents woke up. I wouldn't have minded. I know not everyone can do sleepovers, but Terry wouldn't even tell me what was really wrong or what I could do to help.
I thought we could tell each other anything. I guess I was wrong.
Did she stay in the end?
No.
No! We got too loud in the kitchen and my dad woke up. He offered to drive her home when we heard what we were doing, what was wrong. She texted me apologizing for my dad having to do more than what he needed. For my dad having to do more than what he needed rest. But that was it. She isn't talking to me anymore.
You could hear every bit of tears and heartbreak in Miranda's voice. This continued to be a shock for your neighbor, but Cove recovered and spoke gently.
I'm really sorry.
I mean,
There's no way Terry wanted to make you feel this way. Or that she's just done with your friendship because of this.
Miranda's sniffling continued. You hoped she had plenty of tissues handy. It's really weird she reacted like that. You couldn't wrap your mind around it. It seems so unlike Terry, and maybe that's why it was bothering Miranda so much. Miranda's voice sounded a little bit more collected after finishing her story, but you knew that the crying was far from being done.
I thought she would reach out to one of you by now. Maybe she's not talking to anyone.
Yeah.
Sorry for bothering you and Cove about this. Hey, we're here for you.
right.
Right. You can tell us.
Hi Bloom. Hey Sleepy, good to see you. Welcome in.
Hey Sleepy, welcome to the stream.
Thank you.
Her shaking voice finally conveyed a little optimism, or at least relief that she wasn't dealing with it entirely on her own.
Is that all right?
If you do hear from her or anything, could you let me know if she's alright? Yeah, we can. Thanks. Let's talk later, okay? Bye.
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 That didn't really seem like an especially productive point to end the call, though you weren't sure where to go from there. Looking to Cove, his face seemed as lost as yours.
Really emoji, so cute.
With no alternative, you hung up and put your phone back on your bed. Cove crossed his arms, a frown creasing his face. He began to pace the length of your room, clearly trying to put the pieces together in his head in a way that made sense. You were worried. Biting the inside of your cheek, you stared at the ground. Hearing Miranda so distraught like that wasn't easy. And what about Terry? The uncertainty was tearing you up. The empty state of your head before learning this was not helping you now. You couldn't put the two thoughts together, and plopping back onto your bed, you stared into space.
We should probably try calling Terry.
Cole's voice managed to drag you back to some grounding. He stopped pacing, but you still saw a protrude look on his face.
Yeah, I'm worried about her too.
He bounced up and moved to his side, ready to act on whatever plan you two could come up with. Cove started with the easiest thing. He pulled out his phone and called Terry. Cove let it ring, and ring, and ring, and ring. Terry didn't answer. There wasn't even an option to leave a voice message. Your shoulders slumped, and Cove looked even more troubled. That was possible. He turned to you as if for some lifeline.
Could you try calling? I'm gonna send a text, just like, hey, I was trying to reach you, call me, or something.
Yeah.
You took up your phone once more. Unfortunately, after another set of interminable rings, the line went dead. No answer, no voicemail. Hanging up, you saw Cove visibly deflated. He rubbed his arm, eyes distant, openly struggling with the whole affair.
I don't like this at all. They're fighting, we barely know anything, and we're supposed to just wait and see?
Despite it only being a minute since she texted Terry, Cove checked his phone again. He was desperate for progress for something, and you frowned as you watched him.
You're making me anxious.
Cove stared hard at the screen as though he was trying to will a new message to appear. As your words sank in, he forlornly let his gaze fall to the side. Cove's voice came out so small and quiet that you would have missed it if he hadn't already taken your full attention.
Sorry.
He nodded slowly. Cove closed his eyes, letting out a sigh as though trying to clear away pressure from inside his chest. Glancing at your own phone in vain, you considered sending a text message too, if that would even help. This was making you feel all twisted up. You could see the same sort of a discomfort on Cove's face. There was something consoling in that, at least. Words drifted from his mouth like a feeble breeze.
It'll be fine. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah. You could hear it in both of your voices how much you wanted to give and receive reassurance. You tried to believe the sentiments weak as they were.
Well,
Should we... What do we even say if we do hear from her?
His pacing resumed as he attempted to answer his own question.
We should probably tell them to talk to each other instead of only... Maybe?
He slowly came to another halt, like a gear winding down. Let's find Terry's side of the story. Nothing could be done until you knew that what he thought of this. That much was certain. Cove nodded slightly in agreement. For several minutes, you both remained there in silence, drowning in your thoughts. Eventually, Cove turned around.
I'm gonna text Harry that we already know what's going on. Maybe she'll have an easier time talking to us, because she won't have to pretend or explain.
Yeah, that might be the only way to get her attention. With the two of you on the same page, he steeled his gaze to prepare for taking the next step. Cole's fingers worked furiously, yet carefully. He was giving his full attention to his words. You sidled up next to him and looked, trying to watch what he was writing. Cole rapidly typed out, "Hey, Susan and I really want to talk to you. Miranda told us what happened. Please reply back." And sent. It was done.
We'll just have to wait and see what happens now.
Yeah, hopefully she gets back to us pretty soon.
Me too.
From his face, you could tell that wasn't going to do much for him. He wasn't going to be stuck thinking about this until Terry replied. A small noise escaped from his lips. All the frustration in the situation crumbled away from his face, and he spoke softly.
Thanks, Susan. I'm glad it's not just me with all this.
Cove took one last look at his phone and pulled it away. His effort at a smile was meager, but earnest.
it's okay.
We can just forget about it for a while. Terry will talk to us when she wants to.
He smiled just a little bit. Even with the slight lessening of tension between you and Cove was working out wonders on your shaking heart. The last thing any of you needed was more division among your friends. A silence stretched on for what felt like hours, but it likely wasn't that long before there was a knock at your bedroom door, and Mom peeked in. Just wanted to check in on you. Oh, Cove, when did you get here? When she saw you were there, she opened the door all the way. Ma was standing there as well. She slipped past her wife to come inside to your space. What's going on? We're okay. It's just Miranda called earlier. She and Terry are fighting, but none of us know what's going on with Terry. Your parents exchanged a meaningful look, though its meaning was lost on you.
I'm so sorry.
Well, that's too bad. I'm sorry there's trouble with your friends, sweetie. Is there anything we can do to help? Out of the corner of your eye, you saw Cove rub his arm awkwardly, unable to add anything. No, we're just waiting to see if Terry calls or texts or if Miranda does. Well, we can at least help you take your mind off things while you're waiting.
Yeah.
Another great idea, Lonnie. We can get the whole gang together for some quality time. Mom gave you a soft smile and added, "This will be good, especially since it might help make up for what happened at the farmer's market." Yes,
You remember that?
it'll be wonderful. I'll go see what Liz is up to right now. Excited, she fluttered a few steps away and then stopped. She pivoted on her heels and raised a single finger, flashing a big smile at Cove.
It's no trouble.
And of course, Cliff will be welcome too. Knowing your family was always there for you, that couldn't be underestimated. In fact, it meant everything to you that your moms cared about so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That's nice of you.
You're welcome.
You're both very welcome. I haven't saved, just in case. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Not so, kiddos. Leave this to us. Just relax and we'll call you when it's all together. You nodded and your moms disappeared for now, springing into action for their important impromptu get-together. You flopped down on your bed feeling like you could sink into it and disappear. Cove, meanwhile, took a spot on a chair off to the side. He sighed at the same time, and Cole's mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. He gave his phone another quick check, and his eyebrows furrowed.
Still nothing?
Yep. This is crap, huh?
Yep.
Cove chewed the inside of his cheek, as if to mimic the stress that was clearly eating away at him.
Cole, what's wrong? What's really wrong? One disagreement doesn't make you act like this.
That got a pointed pause in his movement. Cole was carefully trying to put his thoughts together. He spoke in a fragile voice.
When people you care about, when they're unhappy with each other, there's nothing you can do. At least when you're in a fight yourself, you have some responsibility, some control over it all. I wish
So,
it didn't have to happen, but that isn't possible. So, oh well, I guess.
His attempt at giving a nonchalant shrug after that was pitiable.
Yeah, it makes you feel horrible too.
In your lap, your hand movements curled into fists. This kind of powerlessness, it wore you down. You looked at Cove and were reassured by his understanding nod. There was a question you had to ask.
Is it because of what happened with your parents?
Cove ran a hand through his hair. A strange smile spread across his lips. For him, this pain struck close to his heart. Just as quickly as it had come, his smile was gone, lost amid his faraway gaze.
Yeah, you got it. It's like my parents.
Despite knowing him for so many years, Cove had never spoken of the years before he moved to Sunset Bird, before his parents separated in any detail. He whispered his thoughts distantly, almost unconcerned with whether you could hear them or not.
that's...
They used to fight all the time. I think they got along when I was a baby. I mean, they had to be. They had to have wanted to be with each other at some point. But when I was old enough to remember anything, it was already bad. There was always something wrong, and I could never help. I just wanted them to be happy.
You tried to imagine your moms breaking up, and the very idea scared you, but Cove had endured that for real.
I'm sorry.
Susan. Don't worry about it.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. I thought it was on somebody else's end. It's okay.
Despite that revelation, Cove's gazed reassuringly at you.
It's not like that. Things are so different now. I don't even really think about it.
Again, the sorrow reasserted itself. When he continued, you could barely hear him.
Though I guess it's pretty obvious I haven't forgotten either.
Let's give him a hug. You crossed the room, picking up a little bit of speed as Cove's eyes widened. He shot out of the chair and stood waiting for you with a non-pulsed look. When you collided into him, wrapping your arms around his middle and knocking the air out of his lungs, all mystery was gone. Cove squeaked.
Oh. Oh.
He returned the gesture lovingly. Exhaling, you pressed your cheek into the warmth of his chest. The tension stuck inside you released like a river flowing into the ocean that was Cove. The firmness of his hug told you Cove didn't plan on letting go anytime soon. You both needed the comfort and closeness for just a little bit longer. When he finally did, he kept a hold of your hand. The two of you took a seat again, this time side by side on your bed.
Well...
Today was a lot.
Yeah, it was.
Lean against him. Resting the side of your head onto his shoulder, you glanced up at his face. Cove watched you affectionately. In that gentle gaze, you finally felt like everything was going to be okay.
No matter what happens, we can make it work.
His mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. You chuckled, resting your head comfortably back on his shoulder.
Me too.
I think so too.
You couldn't sit still anymore. Cove leaned in, delicately pressing his lips to your forehead, and he raised one free hand to lightly touch your jaw. The breath got caught in your throat. When you remembered to breathe, the blood rushed to your face, turning your skin a deep red. You try not to think about how hot you were feeling, because after everything that happened today, you were just grateful for the moment. And for a while you stayed like that. A comfortable quiet fell between you and the sun fell with it. The warm calm ended when Cove gasped sharply. You spun half expecting to find him nursing an injury, but instead you found him staring straight ahead. What?
Oh my god.
I think my phone just. Oh my god. I think my phone just vibrated.
Check it out!
Right.
He patted his pockets, fumbling in panic, and yanked the phone out. The force of the action nearly catapulted the device out of his grip entirely, but he caught it just in time. His eyes honed in on the screen.
It's Terry. Thank God. She says she's sorry.
He looked back at you, eyes wide as his nerves started to fray once more.
What should I say?
Tell her to call us.
Okay.
He flashed you a shaky smile as he began to type. You suspected that he'd had similar thoughts himself, but wanted the reassurance for a second option. Cove's phone buzzed nearly as soon as the message was sent.
It's Terry again. She's talking to us. She asked about what Miranda said, but wait.
You leaned in, watching the conversation unfold on Cove's screen.
Right.
She's gonna actually call.
Cove held his breath as you waited. Though he was good with people, he had never been easy at ease managing conflict. His phone rang out. Cove jammed the answer button. He switched the phone into speaker mode, allowing you to participate in the conversation. But despite his immediate reaction, his voice lacked the same resolve when he spoke.
Hey.
It was tentative, a white flag fluttering in the wind.
Oh no, he's French. Susan is here too.
Hi, we've been worried about you.
Hey.
Hey, buddies. Terry's voice was barely recognizable without her usual quick patter and energy.
Are you okay?
Are things okay?
I don't know. Probably not. Cove tensed, his free hand coiling into an anxious fist.
Can you talk to us about what happened?
Don't you know already?
Miranda explained some of it, but it doesn't make sense.
You heard Terry sigh over the phone as she unburdened herself. Pretty much. I was at Randy's house. We decided to watch some movies she super liked that I've never seen before. Turns out there was a lot of those. We watched one, then another, and another. We were having so much fun. Each time one finished, she had another one to share with me. I didn't really think about it at the time. I only wanted to say yes to Randy and watch her movies. She spoke wistfully, but her words were full of affection. It was Randy, you know. I wasn't thinking about my schedule or what time it was. Yeah, I get it. Then I finally saw the time, and oh no, it was way too late. I already knew I couldn't stay. She took a deep breath, her voice becoming softer when she resumed talking. I was so stressed out. I just couldn't deal with it. Miranda wanted to help. She kept coming up with ways to make it better and trying to figure out why I was upset and stuff. I was trying to answer her questions, and there were so many, but I couldn't really answer all of them. I don't even know why some of her ideas didn't work with me. It made my heart and my head ache. I still had the first problem, and Randy there, trying to help, blasting all these questions, and suggesting at me faster than I could even think. She gulped audibly, sniffing. I got frustrated and told her just to leave me alone, but then she wanted to talk about why I wanted that, and we started having a fight in the kitchen, and it woke Randy's dad up. We told him about how I wanted to go home, but my parents couldn't get me, so Mr. Eckert offered to do it. Oh, that's nice of him. Terry groaned. I know. I accepted because I definitely couldn't stay. You couldn't stay then, not after throwing a racket and turning it into a big deal. But I feel awful and embarrassed. Why did I yell at Randy and hurt her feelings? And I made her dad lose sleep by waking him up and having to drive me home. What do you say to that? I have no idea. I don't know where to start, and I don't know what. And I don't want to make it worse, saying the wrong thing and fighting again. So I'm not talking.
Terry, Randy isn't mad that you didn't want to stay or that you fought. She just wants to feel like you can talk to her. I mean, you can say whatever you want. She'll listen. Not talking to her at all is pretty much. Here, there we go. Okay. Not talking to her at all is pretty much the only wrong way to go about it.
Terry laminated mournfully on the other end of the line, but had a point. Unless she faced Miranda again, there would be no resolution. He looked at Cove, hunched over the bone, staring pensively into it, and searched for a solution. This couldn't be solved with the other key parts missing, but what if you brought them in? Your phone was still free.
Use Discord.
Let's call Miranda.
What if we call Miranda? That way you could talk to her, but you wouldn't have to do it alone.
Cove brightened up. The concern furrowed in his brow, which had taken root when Miranda first called, eased.
Well,
That could work. Terry, are you up for it?
She made a noise that wasn't a word, but nevertheless conveyed her hesitation and worry. But she brought it close to her without a decisive exhalation, as if pushing all negative thoughts from her body.
Alright, I'll do it.
Cove nodded. Now that you received an approval from everyone, you pulled out your phone and called Miranda. You sent it to speaker and waited for her to pick up. Luckily, she did.
Hi.
Hi, Susan.
Her voice was still distant as her thoughts were elsewhere, but it was loud enough for your needs.
Hi, you're on speaker. Terry's on speaker too, on Cove's phone.
Oh. She paused while she digested this information. You watched the phone screen, hoping that she wouldn't hang up as a result.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yep, it's really me. Can you hear my voice all the way from your house to theirs and then mine?
I can.
You and Cove exchanged looks, waiting for the wall between them to break and wondering who would be the one to do it. As the quiet dragged on, you caught Cove chewing on his cheek. He must have weighed the same question at you, whether to encourage the conversation or leave Miranda and Terry to resolve it themselves. The answer came in the form of one sniffling followed by another from Cove's phone.
Sorry.
Sorry, Randy. I hope you still like me. What? You were the one acting as if you didn't like me.
Her tone was defensive, no doubt as a result of her wounds from last night still being raw.
What?
No way! Everyone likes Randy. You're wonderful.
Your eyes met Cove's. His phone was tilted towards you, capturing the call indirectly. You moved your phone closer to his, hoping the signal was strong enough to convey every nuisance of tone. Cove did like otherwise, bringing his cell right next to yours, even bumping against it as if shifting his grip.
I didn't know what to say. That's the only reason I wouldn't talk to you. If I had known the answer, I'd have told you right away.
Miranda murmured on the other end of the line.
You didn't want to stay. Anything I tried to do bothered you, and you could have told me you didn't know.
Yeah, I think I was angry at myself. I just did a dumb thing and didn't want help with it. I wanted to be mad and just deal with it myself. It made me keep doing dumb things.
Oh.
When she spoke again, her voice was quiet, as tender, as vulnerable as the words.
I'm sorry.
Staying up late watching stuff was all my fault. I had to find a way to fix it, and that's what I thought anyway, but I should have given you space. I'm sorry for being so pushy and sensitive.
Hardly! Miranda Eckert having a flaw? I never heard of such a crazy thing. Miranda let out a ghost of a giggle. Cove cleared his throat.
Maybe you should call each other now?
Sorry!
Sure.
Can do. Thanks for giving me the kick in the butt to do this already. Randy Mandy, I'm gonna call you right now. Bye, Susan and Cove. She hung up after squeezing in another quick bye, though not giving you or Cove room to respond in kind. Miranda laughed, the noise tingling gently like wind chimes in a summer breeze.
You're really nice.
Thanks for listening and helping. I'm gonna hang up now so I can answer Terry's call. Bye!
Bye and good luck.
Bye! Talk to you soon!
Miranda hung up, still chuckling softly as your call ended. The room felt emptier without the other voices in it. Cove expelled a sigh that crashed through the newly fallen silence. He dropped his arms to his side, letting his head hang down like a puppet at rest.
Thank God.
I'm so relieved it's okay.
Cove scratched at his face, his expression cloudy.
I think I need to find better ways for dealing with conflict, because that was awful.
Yeah, I think that would help. Cove meekly smiled as he rubbed at his eyes, weariness creeping over him, and mumbled his next words.
We can talk about it another day.
Conflict resolution methods?
Huh?
Huh? Oh, no, forget it.
Your eyebrows rose, and then a light bulb went off in your head. Before Miranda called, didn't you say there was something you wanted to say? Cole's original visit had been thrown off kilter that it was a struggle to wind your memory back to where it had first turned up. Now that you did, though, you remember that he had been perky when he had arrived this afternoon. Was it good news? Cole brushed his hands against his now folded arms shyly.
Well, yeah, maybe. I'm not exactly sure if it counts as news or even good. It just is what it is. I'm happy what it is.
You were curious, but you didn't want to push Cove if he didn't want to speak about it. Well, you don't have to say anything, but if it makes you feel good, I think it's good news. Cove chuckled awkwardly, a hand creeping up to ruffle the hair on the back of his head.
It's fine. If you want to hear, I can tell you.
He shifted on his feet as if a different posture might give him the support he needed for the conversation.
I didn't want to make it a big deal, but I kinda... Well, not kind of. I just know what my sexuality is now.
Oh!
A real subject, huh?
He chuckled. True, it was unexpected, but you were excited that Cove had come to understand himself more, and glad he wanted to share that with you. That's great! Tell me more! Cove drew a breath, straightening up.
I'm demisexual, so, you know, most of the time, I don't really have those kinds of feelings, physical wants. It's only in some situations, when I'm already really emotionally and romantically connected to someone, that I start to ever think about anything sexual, and it's only with them. I hadn't heard the term until pretty recently, and it just made a lot of sense. Once I knew what it meant, I had a word that fit how I felt.
Yeah.
And I'm panromantic, because I've never had a preference for a specific gender or anything, so, yeah.
That makes sense. Cove looked down at the floor, being so open and direct about a matter that personal, which he was sure he had spent a lot of time trying to figure out, seemed to be kind of weird for him. Despite that, there was a small proud smile on his face, and when he looked up again, his gaze was steadfast. That's really nice to know. Have I ever pushed you or made you feel uncomfortable? Philip shook his head easily.
No, I overthink things and I get embarrassed with stuff, but you know how I am. When I actually don't want to do something, it's pretty hard to make me.
That was definitely true of Cove. He had proven many times over the years that he wasn't afraid to dig in his heels.
I like what we do together, and you know, I'd be glad if it didn't stop.
There was Cove getting bashful about things again, but he felt good, and you could feel that way because he was feeling it too. Okay, thanks for answering. All this talk of Cove's sexuality made you reflect about your own. Your feelings on yours haven't wavered. Cove had known for years now. It was heartwarming that he had reached a point where he felt similarly capable of discussing his own. He felt even closer. You could tell that Cove felt like he had been an emotionally draining day that had now come to a close, everything wrapped up neatly with a bow on the top. You had some good talks with your friends and with each other. A lot had been brought out into the light, and you come out, if not only knowing each other better, but yourself too. But there was still something that Cove didn't know, something that had gnawed at you many times over the years. You never told Cove about how you first met his dad. You always held it back from him, unsure of how it would take the revelation. His dad seemed to have done the same, as Cove didn't seem to have ever heard of it from Mr. Holden either. What do you think? Should we tell him now that we're older?
it's your decision.
You know what? Maybe we should tell him, just because we're at their old enough age, and I think he can understand now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it'll make for a funny moment where he tries jumping out the window.
It's time to tell Cole about the deal that his father proposed. You were ready. Today was the day to tell Cole the full story of how you come to know him. Cove? You hooked his attention with the way you spoke his name. There's, one more thing I'd like to talk about. Cole raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything. He was listening. You took a deep breath and stated the situation plainly. Remember back when we first met? I actually met your dad first. You'd run off and he was waiting outside to see if you'd come back. That was when he spotted me on my way home from the day. Cove nodded, eyebrows still raised. You could tell that he was trying to predict where this was going. You could also see how he was see that he was failing. He was really worried about you. He was willing to try anything to help you fit into this new life here, so he offered me $20 to be your friend. Cove's eyes widened to huge circles as you uttered the final sentence. His mouth hung open, ready to speak, but no words followed. You stood still, giving him time to process this revelation. You watched the layers of
Subterfuge.
subterfuge. That's a word. Being ripped away as his eyebrows rose higher on his forehead, followed by a deepening frown. And then Cove burst into a roar of laughter.
That's horrible. He tried to bribe you? And you were, what, 8? Why? Oh my god.
Cove was bent over with laughter, one arm supporting his sides. He covered his eyes with the other hand, hiding the tears of mirth sprouting in the corners. You laughed along with him, though your laughter was stunned from relief to finally being open with him and having to accept it well. Eventually your giggles wore down. Cole wiped the last of the tears from his eyes, still grinning as he took wheezing breaths.
Wow.
He shook his head.
That's my dad. I guess there's always another Clifford surprise waiting in the wings. But $20, huh? What a cheapskate. Considering how much time we've spent together since I moved in, you were paid pennies on the hour. That's not even that much. Just 1 penny an hour. A fraction of a penny.
Yeah, it seemed like so much money in the moment, but in the long run it didn't amount to much. Cole gave you a lopsided smile with a shake of his head.
Sorry.
Sorry, you definitely got the short end of the stick there.
I got to grow up with you. It was the best deal I could have ever gotten. He stared at you, his previous expression swept away by shock before his face softened into an affectionate smile.
Me too.
I feel the same way about you.
His words were sincere, a genuine confirmation of his feelings towards you.
I really couldn't have asked for anything better.
No sooner than his words were out in the air, Cove ducked his head to hide the blush spreading over his face. He breathed a satisfaction. Oh, I got an achievement. He breathed a satisfied sigh of relief as a weight you've been carrying from your childhood was lifted from your shoulders. Cove reached out and took your hand in his, squeezing gently. Your eyes met, and you knew that that your feelings of being glad to be there, glad to know him, were reciprocated in full. Hey.
Thanks for telling me. I appreciate the honesty.
He grinned slyly.
Now I've got more ammo to see you sad with.
You're welcome.
Hey.
Hey, we should probably head downstairs soon. If your moms are still wanting everyone to get together.
Hey, yeah, that's right. With a renewed spring in your step, you led the way out of your room. You got downstairs to find the others already assembled and waiting.
Hi guys, we're having
Hi.
an emergency meeting.
Hello. Hey. Good to see you both.
Hey! Hey, here we are. Here we were, what? Trying to corral everyone to a group, but the two of you were already upstairs this whole time.
Of course we were together. You paid Susan to stick with me, or did you forget?
Statement was meaningless to your family, who looked to each other for answers in vain. Mr. Holden, who got the message loud and clear, seemed embarrassed. He chuckled nervously, rubbing the back of his neck, and then his hand froze in place.
Huh?
Wait, when did you figure that out? You never mentioned it growing up.
Today, just now, Susan told me.
Mr. Holden's hand awkwardly slid off his neck as he stared at Cove, the answer catching him off guard. Out of the corner of your eye, you saw your mom mouthing questions at you. Everyone was waiting for an explanation. Similarly to his sons, Mr. Holden broke into laughter and turned to address you, a hand laid over his chest.
I can't believe my partner in crime betrayed me, and after all these years, I thought we had something.
His voice was deliberately light, assuring you this was only a joke. He shook his head, throwing off at the jest as he spoke seriously.
No worries.
I have to admit, I'm actually just amazed that you kept it under your hat this long.
It had to be done.
Uh-huh. I want to know why my dad kept it secret all this time.
Mr. Holden looked back to Cove, lines forming on his forehead as his wide eyes signaled a wordless apology.
Can we hear exactly what this secret is? The suspense is killing us.
Right.
Alright. I'd better get everyone up to speed.
He held up his hands up, palms out, pacifying his audience, or perhaps holding them up as a shield in advance.
That first day I met Susan, I'd been worrying about Cove being alone for the summer.
Well...
There weren't a lot of kids around, and he wasn't exactly on the best terms at the time.
He glanced around at your family, gauging their responses.
I felt like this was my one shot, so I kind of offered her $20 to be friends with Cove, and added that she couldn't tell him about it.
Hang on. With gas, Ma was staring increasingly at Mr. Holden while Mom's eyebrows had retreated to her hairline. You and Cove, already knowing the story, were the only ones unaffected.
But after a while, I really did honestly forget it even happened.
He raised his hands higher, now level with his shoulders. Not a bad idea, you thought. If Mom felt inclined to throw a cushion at him, he'd probably manage to block it in time.
I know that's bad, but hey, I've had so many grand ideas over the years, it's hard to keep track of them all.
Cove smiled, placing his hands on his hips and shaking his head at his father's antics.
Seriously?
I can't believe you. Also, I totally can.
Your moms were less indulgent. The sock had ebbed away to displeasure. Mom's foot was tapping rapidly as she frowned at the next-door neighbor, while Ma had her arms crossed over her chest and her lips pursed.
I'm sorry, Susan, and I'm sorry to your parents, too. I was way out of bounds.
Don't worry about it. Everything worked out.
Your moms gave each other that look, when they seemed to communicate with eyes alone.
Alright, well, that's that then. And it won't happen again.
Absolutely.
Oh, it definitely won't.
Good.
It was a little surprising that they were letting him off the hook, but on the other hand, it was a long time ago, and you were sure your moms remembered those painful early days of Cole's arrival, too. Mr. Holden wasn't a potential bad influence anymore, so a lecture would be pretty moot. Instead, your ma gave him a lenient smile.
In that case,
Oh, now that that's settled, why don't we find something to do?
Nods of agreement cascaded through the group in a couple's wave at the suggestion. Mr. Holden's shoulders slumped with a restless tension, with a release of tension. He brought his hands down, tucking them away into his pockets. The two families spent the rest of the afternoon together, chatting and catching up. Though he accepted Mr. Holden's apology, Cove caught up for lost time by pitching the odd jab at his dad. Your moms didn't seem amused, and the news still too fresh, but you enjoyed finally being able to laugh about it freely. You truly relaxed, knowing that there were no longer any secrets between the two families. You felt freed, and yet simultaneously more tied together than you had ever been before. I guess I never really did the achievement for that one. Like, I think I may have did it in step 4, but...
Maybe it just didn't count for that.
No, I think I just remember that I never did it in 3. I don't remember if I did it in 3, that's the thing. How long are we now? About 2 hours? We're not doing too bad. Let me just see what's going on right now on Twitch.
Yeah, sure.
Not much right now. Okay. You can keep going if you wanted. Let me refresh my throat again. Take a drink! Do you have a drink?
Mine's empty, but then again, I haven't been talking as much, so not really needed.
Okay. Next one, Charity.
Alright.
Cole pushed himself to his feet from where he had been bent down in the sand, stretching out his back and groaning softly. A tired breath slipped past his lips as he wiped his brow, looking out over the shore.
Looks great.
He stood beside him, joining in the surveying of the sand that almost seemed to sparkle beneath the midday sun. The two of you had been out on the beach since sunrise, cleaning up and down the beach looking for various debris, and the work had paid off. Using a hand to shield your eyes from the blinding rays, you glanced across the way where the other volunteers from Orga were gathered. They were easily recognizable by the high-vis vests they wore. It looked as though everyone was about ready to wrap things up for the day. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day.
Let's hope more people learn the joy of putting trash where it belongs.
You nodded in agreement, reaching for your drink bottle and gulping it down the cool water inside. Though you knew the work you were doing was for a good cause, being out in the heat all morning had been slowly draining your energy until you had next to nothing left. Cole placed his hands on his hips. A pleased grin pulled at the corners of his mouth as he admired the work you both done. You begun to realize during your time volunteering for the organization how seriously Cole took his service. It was easy to see that it was something important to him. I enjoy the work, but I want to have a good time. Being a part of an organization like Orca meant you got to meet different people and go to all sorts of places you might not have the chance to usually.
Not bad.
We did a nice job today. It's been a good year so far. It's crazy to think that it's already time to push for the big event.
You let out a big breath, thinking of the formal dinner that Orca organized every year. Being a completely fundraising focused event for large donors, it was crucial for the organizers' projects in the year to come. You had to be over 18 to attend, so this was your first opportunity to actually see it in person. All you heard about it so far was that it was a prim and proper occasion with speeches and everything. You didn't know what else to expect from it, as you were in a part of the group who was planning the evening. Before the big night came around, the volunteers would have to sell the tickets for it, and that's where you'd be helping. I'm curious. It might be fun. I've never been to a professional type party. Cobb nodded, though he still seemed reluctant.
I mean,
I just don't feel excited about attending a super formal meal with proper etiquette and stuff, you know?
He threw his arms to the sides, making a bit of a show at how ridiculous it seemed to him.
I've got sand all over my room and only one nice shirt, and I go barefoot pretty much whenever I can. I'm gonna be so out of place.
Doing something fancy will make it fun. How often do we get a chance to dress up nice or eat an expensive meal? Cove chuckled and shook his head at you in amusement. A small beeping noise came from Cove's pant pocket and pulled it out and glanced at the screen.
huh?
Huh? Oh, it's the organizers. They've sent a text to the group. Time to call it a day here.
Finally, let's move on. Cove tucked his tail away eagerly, turning to you.
Let's head over and drop the trash bags off at the trucks. Then we can drive back and join the ticket team. We gotta be there pretty soon to relieve them.
With a stretch of shore this long, the plan was to switch places with the other team who had been pushing the tickets for the fundraising dinner halfway through. It'll be a full day of work, but it was Orca's largest event of the year, and all hands were on deck to make sure it was a success. You nudged Cove's shoulder. He chuckled and nudged you back playfully with his now free hand. You collected the trash bags, split along the way together, heading across the beach to hoist them into the trucks before heading off to the next job. Cole slipped his warm hand into yours, and you entwined your fingers, strolling back to the car side by side. The drive back to your neighborhood and making your way through the shopping street was fairly quick, though Cole stressed a little about being late. Luckily, he was able to find a parking spot nice and close to where he needed to be. He jumped out of the car and quickly went towards where you knew the group would be. Finally reaching the stall that was set up to sell tickets, you stopped for a moment to catch your breath. There was quite the flurry of activity. It would be your job for the rest of the afternoon to help sell tickets for the fundraising dinner, and looking around the street, you saw that there were plenty of potential buyers out today. That would hopefully help to move the tickets along. The stall itself was simple, a portable table with a few plush sea animals as decorations and a banner strung across the front. There were 2 volunteers who were already packing up and getting ready to head off to the beach. They both gave you a friendly smile as you arrived. I think these could be either wars. We can just like play along with this one, like a one. You could be 1, I'll be 2.
Okay. Hey, Cole, Susan, how'd things go at the beach?
Not bad.
It was good. The place is looking great.
We're lucky to get a 2 for 1 when it comes to you guys. Cole cleared his throat awkwardly from beside you, and he noticed his cheeks flushing pink.
Go again.
That's right. That's us. We're joined at the hip, some might say. Volunteers chuckled and packed the last of their stuff, and Cove seemed to relax a little more. Volunteers made room for you and Cove behind the table while they circled around to the front of it.
Thanks for coming in for a shift. We better make this quick so we can head off to the next place. No problem. What do you need us to do?
You mumbled a reply, content to sit back and let Cove deal with the handover. One of the volunteers handed you a clipboard with all the details needed to sell tickets, while the other tossed a set of keys to Cove, which he caught with these.
These are for the money box and supply kit. Make sure to keep them on you at all times.
Aside from handing the cash to the tickets, there's also a form on the clipboard for guests to fill in their info. That way we know how many tickets we've sold and who will be attending the event.
There's a small script beneath that if you get stuck for what to say, and that's about it. Pretty simple, huh?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. I think we've got them.
Satisfied that you knew what you were doing, the volunteers said their goodbyes and started walking away, leaving you and Cove to manage the stall alone. The keys jingled in his hands. Cole weighed them up before he stuffed them into his pockets of his pants for safekeeping. Bye! Have fun! Once the volunteers were out of sight, Cove dropped down into his chair behind the counter with a sigh.
We made it here just in time. Cool, we traded places with nothing happening. We might have been late getting to cleanup duty.
He leaned back in his seat, gently getting fully comfortable in the space, and gave you a small smile. He took the other seat. It was just a simple plastic chair that squeaked when he sat on it, but it gave you a good view of the street. That's my OBS. Good. Okay. I'm glad this work lets us at least rest in one place.
Yeah, I really need to get off my feet for 5 seconds.
Cove rummaged around the station a little, picking up a stuffed toy orca and holding it in front of his face. You had to admit it was pretty cute, with its big bulging eyes and oversized flippers. Setting it back down on top of the table, Cove moved to check out the rest of the stall, finding a cooler stashed beneath the table. When he pulled it out and opened the lid, you could see that it was filled with half-melted ice cubes and about half a dozen bottles of water. Grabbing one of the plastic bottles, he unscrewed the cap and took a long drink. He lost the condensation running along the side and onto his fingers.
So?
Hey, you want one?
Cove set his water on the side of the table before pulling out another and holding it out toward you. Thank you. Thanks. After opening up, he took a drink and let out a satisfied sigh. You hadn't realized how thirsty you'd been, as it was always good to stay hydrated. The two got settled in easily, and you took the chance to look over the paperwork on the clipboard. Cove joined you, leaning over your shoulder to get a better look.
Seems like pretty standard stuff.
He muttered, and he nodded quietly. He had general info about the event and the work you needed to do at the stall, as well as the amount of tickets sold thus far and the number remaining. Cove tapped a finger on the counter as he read quietly over the notes, muttering a few things now and then that you didn't fully hear. He seemed pretty content to be there, and you were sure that the afternoon would pass by quickly. When he glanced out towards the crowd and made a small sound, he followed the line of sight to see that a potential supporter was on their way over to the booth. Try to relax. All in all, it was a pretty easy task, and you were sure that you and Cove were going to do great at it. You gave the customer an easygoing smile, casually flowing into a conversation with them. Time passed and the two you managed manned the stall, and as people approached, your sales pitch would either have them asking for a ticket or two, or heading off and mumbling maybe next time. All in all, you managed to sell a decent amount of tickets, and you could tell that Kobe was happy with the outcome. As the afternoon drifted along, 6 p.m. arrived, time to pack everything up and head home for the evening. Your work with Orca was far from over, but right now there was only one thing left to focus on, attending the actual event. The days continued in on a normal flow, and before long the night of the Orca fundraising dinner was upon you. It was early evening, and you were in your room getting ready ready as the minutes ticked closer and closer towards the time you needed to leave. Liz helped you get ready while Kobe was on speaker. You were currently in the midst of picking out an outfit which Liz was helping you with, whilst Kobe gave input from the phone. Of course, Kobe wouldn't see any of the items you and Liz were choosing between, but he was trying to help all the same. The event had strict guidelines, and you wouldn't be let in unless you were dressed to code. That meant having to try a truly professional outfit, but the ones you're also happy with. Just, you were happy. There were a couple of outfits that didn't get nearly as much as you used to would have liked, and now there was time to show them off. You smiled as you picked your way through the items, your excitement shining bright.
That's fine.
You don't need to get too into your head thinking about the look, but you do need to hurry up and pick something.
At this rate, you're gonna have a better time picking out your outfit than at the party itself. But whatever you go with, it'll be great.
I never thought I'd see the day when Cove Holden would encourage me to wear something formal. A quiet chuckle came from your phone, and you smiled at the sound.
Yeah, this is really a once-in-a-lifetime event.
Taking a deep breath to refocus yourself, you looked over the options one last time. It was time to decide on an outfit, and quick. A dress. Liz nodded in approval, clapping her hands together, satisfied.
Good.
Finally, we're making some progress.
That sounds like it'd be totally fine. I'm wearing just a shirt with buttons and slacks, personally.
Standing in front of your mirror, quietly assessed your outfit. Add an accessory. Need a little something extra to finish it all off. Rummaging through the rest of your wardrobe, you picked out what you needed to complete your outfit. Necklace. Turning back to the mirror, you let Liz drape your best necklace around your neck and clasp it together at the back. Bracelet. You slipped a bracelet around your wrist and made sure it was sitting there properly. I think that's good. That was that. No makeup. Finally you were dressed and it all come together.
Okay, just gotta change my shirt and then I'll be at the car. See you in a minute.
When you looked at Liz again, she had a goofy smile pulling at her lips.
Hey, you look very nice, Susan. Thank you. And thanks for helping me out. I'm sure it wasn't easy.
Liz laughed softly and ruffled your hair, but only barely, not enough to actually mess it up.
Hey, you got that one right, but you know I'm here whenever you need it.
Liz wiped a pretend tear away with her finger, sniffling dramatically.
Oh, precious Susan, you're really all grown up. It happened in the blink of an eye when I wasn't even looking.
She chuckled to herself, nudging you towards the door.
Alright, time to get downstairs. Your very official, though it's still kind of baby, boyfriend awaits.
I could hear that.
You carefully headed down the stairs and into the living room where your moms waited for your appearance. As you entered, they both stood from the couch and came over to you, smiling broadly.
Oh, you look so wonderful, Susan.
Nice.
And very mature, too.
I know, right?
They continued to coo and fuss over you until you managed to brush them off. Ma took Mom by the arm and held her close, the two of them admiring you proudly.
Thank you.
It felt a little strange having everyone's attention on you, but you liked it nonetheless. Liz smiled at you from where she stood, her expression soft. Ma came to give you one last hug, and before you knew it, another pair of arms were wrapped around you, and then a third. Both Mom and Liz giggled as they hugged you tight. We hope you have so much fun tonight.
Have fun.
We will wait up for you. Stay on as long as you need. You're old enough now.
With a last wave of goodbye, you left your family and approached the front door. It was time. Stepping out into the night, you closed the door behind you gently and looked out across the street. Hey, my boy. He looks nice. Cove was standing there in the street. His eyes met yours immediately, as if he'd been watching from your house the moment you would come out. He smiled bashfully.
Hey, Susan.
Hey, I hope you're ready to do this.
You took the chance to check over his outfit as he walked across the way to meet you. It was formal for sure, though it didn't feel overly posh. It made sense for him, and it was honestly a sight for sore eyes. He was always beautiful to you. With a growing smile, he stepped closer, his cheeks reddening all the way down to his neck.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming with me and for dressing really nicely for us. Your outfit is perfect.
You look so hot right now. Cove hung his bright red face in embarrassment. After that, he wrapped his arms around his torso bashfully as if trying to protect himself and the outfit from further teasing.
Come on, Susan.
You laughed at the reaction. Then he shook his head, glancing back towards the garage and throwing a thumb over his shoulders. He spoke.
Come on.
We should probably get going. Wouldn't want to be late to such a grown-up event, right?
Yeah, let's go.
You head over to Cove's car together, hopping in and strapping on your seatbelts. You were on your way. The event was being held at a place you've never been to before. You brought up the location on your phone to help Cove navigate there. It took some time to find the right address, and once there, you met with the task of finding a parking spot. Though you were on time, it seemed like everyone else had already showed up and claimed spaces. Eventually, you found a suitable place for realizing that required payment. Cole covered the amount, taking a ticket from the machine and leaving it on the dashboard of the car. Ooh, pretty. Despite the small holdup, you managed to ultimately make it to the event and confirm you were on the guest list before being shown into the dining area. Cove whistled low as he looked around, taking the extravagance of the room. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and the entire place was decked out with beautiful oceanic displays. You were stunned yourself. It was extremely high class, even more so than you already expected.
So nice.
You had to be impressed by the work that got into making everything look this lovely, and how everyone had dressed up in their best outfits for the night. Seeing Cove smile as he took in the sights made you think he must be feeling the same way. The sound of your names being called out echoed over the din in the rooms. When you looked around, you recognized a couple of the organization leaders looking your way. They approached you both in greeting, giving you a welcome smile and a hello. Do the 1-2 thing again. They're leaders, so.
Okay. Okay. Dave, Susan, we're glad to see you could make it, especially after all the hard work you've done to help make this night happen.
Of course.
Definitely, I wasn't gonna miss him.
I wouldn't miss it either. This is our big night. Of course we had to see what we were working towards. Well, thank you for being part of the team. You're our best power couple, that's for sure. You're always welcome to participate in more activities when they come up.
Cove let out an awkward breathy laugh and rubbed the back of his neck.
Good to know.
Cove shrugged then, eyes darting around the place with an awkward look.
So...
I guess we should talk to more people. There isn't much else to do at an event like this.
You found your way into groups of people who were standing around chatting while some light music played in the background. Servers with large silver trays were gliding between the guests offering drinks and canapes, I think. Cove approached various people as you would your way through the guests. He managed broaching new conversations well. You were enjoying talking to so many different people, both guests and members of the organization alike, and found yourself enjoying the company. The sound of a microphone crackling came from the podium at the other end of the room. Someone who you assumed must be the host for the evening was asking everyone to sit down in preparation for the meal and speeches. You and Cole looked for your table, finding it easily enough by the little name cards that were placed delicately beside the napkins. A few others joined you at your table, though they weren't anyone you recognized. The host was still speaking as people were settling, starting out the speeches by giving a welcome to everyone attending. She went on to provide some more information about Orca, which you supposed was for the guests who weren't being a part of the organization and the purpose of the fundraising tonight. Orca's goals, as she explained it, were to aid in the conservation and restoration of oceans and beaches. There were many people who had helped to make the group as successful as it was. When she read off a list of several volunteers who worked on making the event happen, Cove's name was one of the first to come up. His chest puffed out in pride at that. Your name then came up a little further down the list. You were smiling from ear to ear at the mention. As she continued on to thank the large donors for the event, you checked over at Cove. He was still grinning happily to himself and tapping his fingers over the tops of his knees, pretty pleased to having been mentioned by name. You can relate. It felt good to be acknowledged for all the hard work you'd done leading up to the event. You likely had kept smiling without even realizing it. While the host continued speaking, multiple servers dressed in black were setting the first course on the menu in front of guests. One of the servers sat down a plate in front of you, and you thanked them quietly before looking over the dish with interest. You recognized the dish as a simple Caesar salad. The host quickly wrapped up the end of her speech, thanking everyone once more before inviting you all to begin your meal. Anyone who included a special dietary note when signing up for the event received either a vegan or vegetarian version. There were also small baskets of bread set around the table. I just ate the bread. I don't like salad. Cole wolfed down his salad before munching into a breadstick, quickly devouring that as well.
I hope the next part comes soon. Out soon and is bigger.
You can hear him
Oh,
mumbling
do you
to
not know what an entree is? Sorry.
You could hear him mumbling to himself as he reached out for another piece of bread. He glanced around the table and he followed his line of sight with curiosity, knowing that everyone else was still eating the salad. Stopping his hand in midair, he quickly pulled back and rested it on his lap without taking another breadstick after all. It was clear that he was starting to feel unsure of himself, and he looked a little out of place here. He folded his arms and turned away from them to you.
You didn't like the salad?
I don't really like Caesar salad.
I get it.
His gaze remained purposely tunneled on you as he was trying not to ever think about what the rest of the table might be doing. Keep Coda pat. His lips tilted up at the corners and he seemed touched by the reassurance. It wasn't much longer until the main course was arriving and the various chicken, steak, and veggie dishes were being served throughout the room. An array of scents wafted through the room, making your mouth water. Let's get chicken. A plate of perfectly roasted chicken and vegetables was set in front of you with a delectable pale gravy. Cove had gone for the steak, and once he started to dig in, he was completely absorbed by his meal. You're gonna get choked if you keep inhaling your food like that. You retorted without even looking up from the dish.
Most of the people here can do CPR, so it'll be fine.
You shook your head in amusement as he continued fervently eating at the same pace. Dinner eventually ended, and the last of all was dessert, a lemon sorbet that had been partially dyed blue. The mix of white with bold streaks of blue made the little scoop look like a ball of roaring ocean waves. The effect was very pretty, but the serving size was small. Perhaps it was the price to pay for artistry. You turned to Code to find him pounding a little at the size of it. Digging into the dessert, it only took him a few bites to polish it off. Again, the other people around the table had barely even begun eating. An unoppressed air settled over him as he sat back in his chair sipping at his water unhappily. You should appreciate what you got. Everyone here has the exact same amount, you know. He looked up at you sheepishly, embarrassed to have been caught sulking over such a thing. He fumbled for a defense.
I mean,
It was just really good, that's all, and now it's gone, but I'm okay.
With a slight grin, he shrugged to show that he was really fine. Would you like a bite of mine? You scooped up a spoonful of your sorbet and offered it to him, holding a hand beneath it to avoid any drips. His eyes wanted his eye dessert hungrily, surprised by the offer. Recovering quickly, he leaned forward over the table, lifting off the chair a little and ate the treat from your spoon. As he sat back, humming happily with his mouth full, he couldn't help but smile at the sight. Cove swallowed the Floss Ocean and let out a satisfied sigh. Even though it wasn't that much more, the simple fact that he had gotten more hit the spot.
Thanks.
Thanks, Susan.
You're welcome. He thought back on the way he used to be so terrified of sampling food that was yours, and now he hardly batted an eye. It always amazed when you were struck with how he'd grown and how he stayed the same. Another person from Orca got up on stage to make a speech as everyone was nearing the end of their meal. He spoke mostly about the individual projects the organization was working on and their plans for the near future, as well as encouraging anyone who was interested to consider volunteering. Cove bent forward over the table with his chin balanced on a hand, listening attentively to the words. As they came to a conclusion that everyone gave them a round of applause, Cove caught your eye and smiled. He wondered what would happen now.
Then Will Smith came out onto the stage. Oh no.
Ah. And then the lights dimmed. A couple of spotlights came on, projecting a water-like effect around the room. The gaze gushed over the ambience, and you look around wide with eyes of the ripples on the walls. The DJ that had previously began playing some soft mood music in the background announced that the floor was open for dancing, slowly turning the volume up so it drifted through the space. When he glanced over at Cove, his eyebrows had shot up and he mumbled quietly.
Huh.
I didn't know there would be dancing. I guess it makes sense now that I think about it.
He gave an awkward laugh as you both watched as the people rose from their seats. It was clear now that many of the donors were couples. A small crowd started to form on the dance floor, and the DJ played a romantic song to get everyone started off. Cove let his gaze flow over the small sea of guests who were moving onto the floor. His hands twisted in his lap as his lips pulled into a tight line. And then with a breath, and like the lift of his hand, he turned to you.
Well,
Wanna dance with me?
I was just about to ask you the same thing. He let out a stuttering laugh, relieved.
Oh, that's good.
Accepting Cove's outstretched hand, you rose from your seats together and stepped out onto the dance floor. When your hands found a spot for yourselves among the other guests, you turned to face him and standing close. Cove gave you a small smile as you looked up at him. You seemed a little nervous.
I don't know how to dance. Not for real.
He admitted with a slight squeeze to your hand and a sheepish look. Excuse me, one sec. Sorry about that. Hey Nox, how's it going? Welcome in.
Hey, Nux.
We're right now going over a visual novel. It's okay, I know. With a familiar face full of affection, he let go of you and raised his arms to slide both of his hands behind your neck. You wrapped your arms around him in response. Together you gently swayed to the music, moving your feet in time to the delicate beat. It was nice being here like this in each other's arms. You didn't have to worry about whether you knew this was the right steps or not. There was always a way to make it work between the two of you. Kobe leaned his head in near yours, his forehead so close to yours that they almost touched. His breath was warm as he let out a content sigh, tickling your skin.
You really do look such a beautiful woman.
Thank you. You smiled widely, feeling your cheeks hotter at the compliment.
Sophia, have you had a nice time? I hope you did.
I came here with you, so yeah. Oh, I could have kissed him. Dang it. Hold on. No. No. Kiss him. Yes. His eyelids fluttered closed as your lips met in a soft kiss, and when he pulled back, he smiled at you gently. His bright eyes stayed locked on yours, studying you with an unmistakable adoration.
Thank you for staying. You're still here. It's like you promised you would be.
Your heart felt light as you continued to sway whilst holding your most beloved person. So glad to be able to share a moment like this with him. Your smile suddenly tilted unexpectedly. You could have guessed that the thought had crossed over his face.
Hey,
Susan?
Yes? His voice, a gentle whisper, let you in on a small secret.
You know, I like to complain about things, and that other people can stress me out, but
Yeah, hi, Nox.
It's nice.
Hey, Nux.
coming here with you tonight didn't make me feel bad. Not even a little.
Your lips parted at the words, old memories rushing back to the surface of your mind. Those of your very first formal party together, summer soiree at the country club. In an instant, you were 13 years old again, sitting on a grassy hill in a dark golf course with your neighbor. It was an experience you could never forget, where it felt as though there was no one else in the world, and when you had made you feel like there was no one else in the world you wanted to be with more. That was the night Cove tried so hard to enjoy it with you, but had been plagued by his anxieties despite all of it. And now... Cove. Feeling emotional, that was all you could choke out, and you found yourself holding on to him tighter. Cove's hand caressed the back of your neck, making you feel truly treasured.
Even though I still get like that sometimes, when there's stuff in our lives that's too much for me. But being with you, that's not one of those. You make it so easy to do. You make me happy. More than happy. When I'm with you, I feel safe.
His voice wavered ever so slightly, his feelings getting the best of him.
I want more than anything to be able to do that.
He broke on the last words, tears glistening in the corners of his eyes. I'll always be here for you, I promise. I would have kissed him, but he needs reassuring words. I kissed him once already.
Yeah.
He whispered securely. He stopped moving to the music, taking a moment to look at you, with nothing else taking focus. He gently brushed your fingers against the sides of his face, his smile making you go all warm.
A lot has happened, huh?
He nodded faintly. You weren't sure if he just meant today, this summer, or your entire time knowing each other. That didn't really matter. It was true either way. Thinking back on the years you and Cove had been neighbors, it was difficult to even try to reflect on it all at once.
I'm so glad.
I'm glad we ended up.
He gave you a soft look and you beamed, knowing that you could also mean many things. But from his tone, you were certain he didn't only mean here at this event. It was more than that. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. You loved him, fully and completely you did. His smile widened and he pressed his body against yours, resting his head into the crook of your neck, stroking the back of your head with his fingers. Tighten your grip around him and let your head fall against his shoulder. As the night drifted on, you held each other tight, swaying to the music as if you were the only ones in the room. Cove was at a loss for words for a long time, enjoying the feeling, but you didn't mind. You were enjoying it too. The party eventually started to wind down, and at last it came to an end. When the main lights turned on, you blinked against the brightness of them, making sure you still had Cove in your sights. One final speaker came up to the podium on the stage, thanking all the guests for coming and wishing everyone a good night. It was bittersweet to see it come to a close. Your time with Cove here was precious. At least the memories could be brought with you. Giving the space one more look, you walked together with Cove out to the parking lot. The other guests were doing the same, so you got stuck in a bit of a crowd. Though Cove was so tall you could always see him, and it was easy enough not to get separated. The parking lot itself was quite big and even more noticeable with how few cars blocking the view. It took a little while to actually locate Cove's car across its expanse. Eventually you found it, and the two of you buckled you inside the vehicle and buckled up. The trip home was quiet as you both silently reflected back on the experience. The event had just been the biggest night of the year for Orca, and now it was all over, just like that. Outside your window, the surroundings soon became familiar, and you found yourself back in your neighborhood. Cole pulled the car into his driveway and put it in park before letting out a relieved breath.
Home, sweet home.
Yeah. After climbing out of the car, you walked slowly down the road, Cove coming over to stand beside you. You stopped in the middle of the street right between your house and his and turned to him, finding him in the process of opening his mouth to speak. Strangely, he clamped his lips together as though he had suddenly thought better of it. Thank you for taking me tonight.
Thanks for coming with me.
Kiss goodnight. Needing to be close again before the night ended, you pressed your lips against his in a gentle kiss. He smiled as you separated, running his fingers over the side of your face.
Night.
Night, Susan.
With a last wispy smile, he left towards his front door, figuring you shouldn't linger in the street for much longer. You crossed the remainder of the road and did the same. When you reached out your house, you pulled out your keys and stuck them in the door, trying your best to be silent about it. Opening the door a crack, you turned back to look over at Cove from over your shoulder. Your eyebrows lifted in surprise to see he was doing the same, holding his front door open but waiting for you to go inside before he did. You shared an amused look before you both stepped into your own houses, locking the door behind you. It was quite late, so everyone was already asleep. As quiet as a mouse, you tiptoed up to your bedroom and changed out of your formal clothes into your pajamas. Now you were finally home, you were exhausted. You brushed your teeth and got ready for bed in the darkness before crawling under the covers and letting out a heavy breath. It was still strange to think about how that was it. The build-up to the event had felt like so much. Now it was completely behind you. Your mind was busy with rapid yet muddled thoughts as you faded closer and closer to sleep. As unconsciousness crept upon you, you felt more content. It was a big deal, but there would be more in the future. You could accept what it had been, and you could dream about what you could have get to experience next. And then you were taken away from dreams, right back into the reality by a sound. Your eyebrows pinched together, fully unprepared to be a part of the waking world again. The day was over and it had been an eventful one. But you heard another noise. It was tapping. Your eyes flew open. The window. There was a tapping that came from your window. Cove Holden. You went over to let him in. You extracted yourself from your bed, yawning. You stretched your arms out and made your way to the window. There was another tap right before your arrival. When you pulled it wide open, Cove was indeed there. You had not been surprised to find Cove awkwardly crouched on your window ledge. However, you were taken aback to see that he was still a little overdressed. Cove hadn't changed out of his formal clothes. You also noticed that he was perched clumsily. You didn't know it was because he was trying to keep his fancy clothes clean, or felt awkward about something. His body was too stiff and awkward. Cove smiled sheepishly.
Hi, Susan.
Cove, why are you here? You moved aside and let him climb inside. He cautiously stepped down by stretching his legs over. Strangely, he didn't use his hands for support. It was clear to you now. He was holding something. When he safely landed on his feet, he really checked out his clothes, twisting around to see the back of his pants. He caught you looking and shrugged.
I mean...
I did go home after the event, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to settle down, so I just walked back out. I needed fresh air and time away from everything.
He paused for a moment and raised his clasped hands together where you could see them.
But then something happened, and, well, so I have something I want to show you.
Cole grinned like a child and as he gently unfurled his fingers, not being able to keep you in suspense for even a minute. Carefully sitting inside was a tiny yellow light. It blinked on and off and then on again. A firefly. Delicately, he moved his hand closer so you could see the creature better.
They're back.
He closed his eyes, his smile now faintly illuminated by his insect companion.
Remember that first time I caught one? I always will. I could barely manage anything because of that neon pink cast I was stuck with all summer.
You were still stunned by what was happening, but you couldn't help snickering when Cove did.
It was thanks to you that I finally held a firefly in my own hand.
I was happy too.
Honestly, I didn't think I'd see them this year. I don't know why, it's just they were kind of late, and I guess I've been worrying about a lot of stuff lately.
You could tell the firefly genuinely lifted his spirits. He seemed at peace. At least he wanted to share that with you. The fact that his first thought after discovering the fireflies was to come over and celebrate the joy with you made you suddenly feel very cherished. Cove opened his eyes, but he looked away, not meeting yours.
It's nice.
It's really nice, I think. Even if the fireflies disappear for a while, it doesn't mean they're really gone. They'll come back. I can see them again.
You smiled. And then you looked at the firefly keenly. There was definitely something poetic about them. You felt a warmth in your heart. Cove looked at your face, his smile now fragile. Hold on. Gotta get a pic.
Oh, gotcha.
It makes me think about the two of them. We're together, then we say goodbye, and then we're together again. Day after day, year after year, and even if our time apart gets longer, that doesn't make it forever.
Susan.
Susan, I'll always be there, whenever you want to see me.
You were so happy being with him. Your heart started to pound in your ears and all you could hear was blood rushing. You looked at Cove and found yourself fixated. There's only one thing you were aware of. The only thing you were aware of was your rapid pulse in him. It was as if your entire relationship was playing over in your mind, every step that led you here. Everything from the first night you met to how you started as little kids who were good friends and grew even closer, to the first time you saw fireflies together, to the first time he snuck to your room, and then to every other moment you shared, all of it came back to you. Cove's expression had turned curious as you let him waiting, wordless. He tilted his head in question, his lips parted to speak, but you went first. I love you, Cove. With your confession, the words stopped for a second. Cove froze. Then, as if your words had turned a faucet, tears began to fall down Cove's cheeks. You silently mouthed something, but you couldn't make out a word. Cove? He stepped closer and closer, moving the distance between the two of you. He covered his mouth with his hand. He must have forgotten about the firefly resting there, and it flew off into the night with a twinkle. He used his other hand to shakily reach over to interlace his fingers with yours. He gripped you tightly as he started sobbing harder. I cried with him. Tears streamed down your face as he looked a little alarmed when you started crying into his shoulder. Can you tell me how you feel? Cold removed the hand from his mouth and used it to hold the back of your head. He brought you to face him, bending his neck down to be closer to your level, and your foreheads brushed together. His voice trembled, it cracked, and it shook. This was raw, straight from Cove's heart.
I love you.
He closed his eye tightly and repeated himself, but now he could say it firmly.
I love you.
His aqua eyes sparkled when he opened them again. Fresh tears poured out with an outburst of emotion.
Sorry.
Listen, I'm sorry I can't get it together. It's just, I tried so much. Love you quietly, secretly, and that being it. But I really wanted you to feel the same. I wanted you to love me back. I wanted to hear you say it. I just kept thinking, what if you didn't? Maybe what I felt was too much, and I didn't know how to handle that. I don't know what to do, and I didn't want to put any of that on you either. You weren't doing something bad. Everything you do is right and wonderful.
I'm always like this.
It wasn't your fault I had to be like that. I'm just like that.
He leaned in closer, hiding his face from view, his lips trailing over your ear. He whispered,
"But you love me. You love me."
He moved his head back so his forehead was centered on yours, and then closed his eyes. He shook. The hand you held was still trembling.
I'm so sorry. I'm really always like this.
You held him. I want to give him a kiss, but I want to hold him. Alex Morgan. You pulled him against you tightly. He leaned into your touch desperately. You felt the goosebumps on his skin, and when you rested your chin on his shoulder, you saw that the little hairs on the back of his neck stood up. Cove managed to bring a fragile smile onto his face. He was still shaking, but there was something excited about him now.
I love you.
I love you, Susan. I love you.
Yeah, Maynard, stop. It's too cute.
He repeated it more as if to make up for all the times he didn't let himself say it before. As he spoke, his tears dried up and his breathing became more even. The reaffirmation helped him calm down.
Thank you for telling me.
Cove's smile was bolder, even as his voice wavered, and he ducked his head with a childish shyness. He clearly fought against getting emotional again. His watery eyes... Oh, another achievement. Cute. His watery eyes, his muscled hair, the tears still drying on his cheeks. You loved him so much. I'm so happy, so happy to have done it. Cole held the sides of your face and moved his thumb down to softly brush your lips. It was exciting. He wanted to keep touching you, and you wanted that too.
Oh no. Oh no. Is this getting...
No, they won't do. No, they won't do that yet.
Cove. You said it hushed under your breath and then brought your lips to his ear and repeated yourself longingly. Cove. A shiver went through him and his grip on yours tightened. He had to do it with the way his knees almost buckled.
No.
Oh my god.
Why am I doing this? I don't feel comfortable doing this. This is just so weird.
You stepped forward with purpose and pressed your hands against his shoulders. He kept walking. His eyes wide, but you let him, stepping back at the prompting. Close to each when he made contact with the wall. You stared up to his flushed face. Kova's body was tense being in such a position, but you knew with complete certainty that it wasn't in a bad way. You could feel one of his knees rubbing against the inside of your leg encouragingly. Hand through hair. You stayed close to him and you used one of his hands to comb through his hair. You leaned into your hand when your fingers got deeper into his strands. Cove tilted his head and brought his mouth to yours. Your lips delicately touched, too brief and slight to be a true kiss, but enough to be exciting. Slight touches were because you also used his mouth to mumble something, although you couldn't make out any clear words. Give him a kiss on his lips. You began to pull Cove into a kiss, and he welcomed it. Both of his hands cradled your head gently. He was full of sweetness for you, and eagerly you took it. It didn't take long until he sighed partly. His face was a little red. The Cove beamed at you, then kissed you back once more.
Nox is freaking out too.
Cove beamed at you, then kissed you back once more. A brief but solid staple of his affection.
Okay, no more. I can't go anymore. That wasn't gonna be a mess. I can't do more than that. Nope.
You took a step back from him and tried to settle your pounding heart. Your pulse, your breath, Cove. It took a few deep breaths to focus again. He did the same, leaning his head back and covering his eyes with one hand. He was as red as he could be expected. Definitely bashful, but honestly, he looked plenty pleased.
Nox. Nox.
You couldn't help thinking about, third option. I hope we get to spend our whole lives together. Cove's expression crumbled again. He wasn't able to tamp down the new wave of emotions. His eyes watered once more and he took a few heavy breaths.
I hope so too. We could be together always. Have our place of our own.
Also a pet? And a kid? Do you think so? His eyes widened at the picture you were painting. Cope seemed more than a little overwhelmed. Being a dad, and the idea of it intimidated him. Are kids something you'd ever be alright with? Cope wasn't able to find the words. Instead, he squeaked his eyes shut and nodded resolutely. Your heart lifted. He was anxious, but he wanted a family with you. You felt warm being able to talk about this openly. You liked to imagine the life you could have together and how you could do it with him. He rubbed at his scarred arm bashfully.
You know, having to grow up for real was gonna be so hard. I didn't even know if I could. But you, well, maybe it won't be that impossible.
So...
I mean, I better make sure it's not, huh? I'm looking forward to it.
Finally, he was able to laugh softly. The tears were nothing but salty remnants on his cheeks. He brightened up as if he finally able to process the absolute joy of tonight in full. He felt good too, and it took a little more time together to simply exist in the new dynamics that you two had stepped into. Cove looked into your eyes with a soft, slightly shy expression. There was hope in his smile.
Do you want to go to the hill with me? I bet there's still fireflies.
He nodded yes. Cove brightened. He was practically bouncing at the thought of a secret excursion before he suddenly becoming bashful.
So...
So how should we leave? Could just try the door. Don't have to do the window thing. But maybe that'd bother your family?
Hold on, let me see.
Just in case. I don't want to go through all that again.
Fair
You
enough.
both chuckled at how awkward it would be for your moms, or worse, Liz, suddenly going on a midnight firefly catching trip. You'd be sure to avoid that. Good leap from the window. Well, let's go through the window. Cove nodded in understanding. You grabbed some shoes and readied yourself for an adventure. You were glad that there was no way you'd run into another soul outside. Cove would be way overdressed, and you were still in your jammies. You let Cove go first. You stepped back onto the ledge as you carefully followed. You shuffled along, and soon you reached the garage. You planned to use the fence from there to reach the ground. Cove climbed down to the fence. He wobbled once, but he made it without an issue. He leaned against the fence, and a projected hush towards up to where you were waiting.
Are you okay?
Do you want help?
You nodded yes. You got to the edge and let Cove spot your descent. He grabbed you about halfway down and brought you to rest firmly on the ground. Cove gave you an encouraging smile, but neither of you risked speaking yet. You briskly snuck behind the house and up to the old white poppy hill. And Cove was right, the entire hill was lit up, insets twinkling here and there with their pale yellow light. Cove let out a content sigh. Finally he was able to relax in full. He strode further up the hill to better enjoy the view. You walked alongside as well, letting yourself be surrounded by the twinkling display. Then without warning, Cove flopped onto his back. He paid no mind to smacking his formal attire in the grass. He put an arm under his head and stretched out the rest of his limbs out. He was clearly getting quite comfortable in the dirt there. I lay down with him. You sat down first and fell back. You could see the stars when you looked up at the night sky. Snuggled. He was warm in contrast to the chilly ground. Cove cuddled closer in turn, tucking his arms near your shoulders.
I wonder if Dad will be mad about the grass stains.
He tugged at the collar of his shirt. He didn't sound concerned, just idly curious. Maybe you should figure out how to clean it before he finds out. You smiled bent a little, and he went into silence between you. The only sounds were the rustling of bugs in the breeze and the faraway crashes of waves on the sea. You couldn't help but reflect on what happened only a brief time earlier. Between this and your room, this almost felt like a different world. Was it even real, what happened between you two? You could almost be convinced it wasn't, and that you had never actually stopped dreaming. You stole a glance at Cove. He caught you and blushed. A little reddening reassured you. Cove remembered, same as you. What you had was real. You should catch fireflies, don't you think? Cove turned his head towards you with a bent grin.
I think that sounds like a plan.
You smiled at each other and Cove rolled his fancy sleeves up. He clambered onto his feet full of bug-catching enthusiasm. You got up and brushed off your clothes. A pesky blade of grass tried to stay stuck to your back. With simultaneous nods of your heads, you both ran around the hill trying to take a hold of the flying creatures. Every so often one of you would succeed, like the children you once were. You would race over to the others to show your catch. What had actually changed? The fireflies were as bright as ever, and you laughed together the entire time. The hour grew late and the fireflies mostly dispersed until only a few stragglers remained. Then even they blinked out of sight, leaving you alone with Cove and your thoughts. Cole stole a second to release the words that had been filling his head during the quiet.
I love you, Susan.
He felt a great deal of happiness. Cole's expression was completely open, honest, and full of sincerity. He meant every word. He truly loved you. No matter how much it didn't seem real yet, it was. It felt as though this was a night that would never end, but you knew it would have to, all too soon. You were only grateful to have been a part of it. These were the moments to truly treasure. You never let yourself forget them.
All
Ooh.
right.
Oof, that was an intense one, huh?
Yep.
I can't believe you made out with that freaking makeout session.
Yeah.
No. Oh my god.
Ugh. Let me see here. Anybody live right now? There's a few people, but maybe I could read him. Is he still going? Looks like he is. I think, yeah. Okay. Bleh. Just double check, make sure my game was saved again.
Okay.
I'll double check my save just to be sure. There you go. Quit the game. Whew. Load my thing. So what'd you think? For these chapters?
Interesting stuff.
Oh yeah. Alright, let me just get back to the main page. If my thing will actually cooperate, please. My Chrome have an update when I wasn't looking? Huh. Oh well. Hope you guys had fun with that. Let me just get back to my page and we can talk a little bit. See where we want to go from here.
Okay.
I think. Alright. Yeah. Let me just see if this one's still fully going. Hang on. Audio mute, please. Thank you. Give me a minute. I have it playing for something.
Okay.
I think he's still going. He's been live for a bit, but I think he's still going. I haven't rated him in a while either. Could do that. Yeah. I know who we're gonna go to. So there's an ASMR artist I actually really like the audios of, but he's been doing a lot of Twitch streams recently. Did I spell it right? No, I did not. Let me fix that. Boop. Did I get it right? Yes, Kuji. We're gonna go raid him. I haven't raided him in a long while. Why don't we go say hi to him? You guys will absolutely like him. He's an ASMR artist, but he's done a lot of streams. And he's good friends with Zenlight too, so they've collabed together a few times.
Okay.
Put in the raid messages if you guys want to put them in. Go ahead and put that in. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this another edition of our life. Maybe next episode we'll continue on with the stories and we'll be done with your free. Wow, we're already halfway through we're through step 3. Wow.
Dude.
Alright, so until then everyone, I'm Susan, and from my boyfriend and I, thanks for watching. Bye.